This is the Big O Show.
Yeah. Big O, we told you we ain't playing no games, man. It's just surely probably Pablo, Culture, Lord Productions.
Good morning, South Florida.
This is the Big O Show.
You're tuned into the Big O Show.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Judge, you tuned in to the hottest sports radio show with Orlando, a.k.a. the Big O. He covers all the South Florida teams, from the Dolphins to the Heat, well, you know what I mean. Monday to Friday, Friday Pablo in the Big O Show. Oh,
On the radio, the top's where we gonna go. Andy, that's the way we roll. Locked on the morning show. Big O. No one has a similar show. Talk sports, talk plays, talk live and direct. Because nobody do it better than Big O in the set. From sunrise, listen live, it's the best of the best. He's got the fans, got the heat, he's the best of the best. Big O, the only talking sports with a style. Break it a morning, it's Big O-N. Thank you for tuning in, keeping it glued in. Stay tuned, because right here's where the rumors in. Same place, because right here some of them begin. Simply call and just state your opinion. Real talk, sports talks, the Big O Show. Yeah, you love it, yeah, you like it, call him and let him know.
Culture, probably Pablo. Now introducing the man of the hour, Big O, a.k.a. Orlando Gary. Yeah.
Alrighty. Good morning, boys and girls. Yes, sir. We are ready to rock another week. Although this week we've got football added to the mix, right? We've been talking baseball. We've been talking a little hockey. We've been talking basketball. We've been talking soccer, right? A little football. But now we got football, baby, as they are reporting today. They're in pads. I have no idea what we'll see, all that stuff. But, it is what it is. I saw the press conference this morning with the coach, and nothing there on that press conference. Nothing to really replay. There was really nothing to ask. But it's also a watershed moment for the sport, because now they've got to see if they can actually play this in a pandemic. And you saw over the weekend what happened with the Reds, and baseball has no contact whatsoever. And now another team and a couple of teams now had to cancel their series over the weekend. So that's a setback. I think it's almost every day they've had to cancel some kind of a game because of COVID. So it's been a tough go. It'll be interesting to see now how, and again, I'm not trying to be, the negative one and all that, and I get it. The oversensitive fan has always tried to paint me in that picture because I am brutally, honest about it. But it's going to be a challenge to see if football can. I mean, look, the kids came back to school, and we got thousands of kids now under quarantine in several states because the idiots think that they can actually have school, which you can't. You can't. And I don't think you can do football without a bubble either. I really don't. And so that is the other part about all of this. Forgive me if I am not as excited as I should be about football coming back, because I'm afraid they're going to take it away from us. You know what I mean? And it's not their fault. It's called a pandemic. It's called a damn virus. And so that's where I need to see several weeks of action before I start to believe that this is not going to take, somehow or another players are going to be disciplined enough and they're going to stay away from the virus. It's been impossible in baseball. How are they going to pull it off? Hell, in basketball, you had a guy try to almost do it in a bubble, try to go to a strip club. Can you imagine with no bubble? That's going to be a hell of a challenge. So, and it's a shame because, like we've talked about before, this is one of those seasons where, unlike most, I loved last year. I was looking forward to last year. I'm looking forward to this year even more than last year because it's the next stage of development for the Miami Dolphins. And obviously we added Tua, which adds so much excitement that you need a season in order to get to Tua, because you need Fitz to play some so Tua can watch how he prepares, all of those things. He needs an offensive line to develop. You know what I mean? Somebody asked Flo today on the press conference, oh, how has the offensive line developed to this point? It's like, how can anybody develop? There's no pads, dude. You know, it was a silly question, but it was just whatever. And that's what you, by holding a press conference now, when there's nothing, that's what I was telling Bill, there's nothing to ask. You know, unless you're working on a feature story of a player or something like that, and you need to ask a specific question about a player for the coach, and hey, what's it like being around him? Is he, that kind of guy? And the coach describes his character, whatever, and then they use that quote inside, a feature piece on a player. That's the only thing. There was really nothing to ask outside of Adrian Colbert that you're going to release him. Okay, wow. A backup guy, not that important. I get it, the connection and all that, but big picture, there isn't a lot to ask. And so when somebody asks, how's your offensive line coming along? Well, how the hell would they know? They haven't hit anybody. Virtual meetings do not decide anything whatsoever. Okay? Oh, yeah, we're going to move this guy up to the starting lineup because he's been awesome in the virtual. What's next? Video games? Oh, yeah, you're doing great on Madden. Let's make you the starting left tackle. But, Coach, I've never played football. Doesn't matter. You're kicking ass on Madden. I mean, it's ridiculous. And so, really, this is about getting to this stage, and let's see if they can actually stay healthy and stay on the field and keep this going, because now we've got 32 teams reporting. Now we're going to start to hear about the stories, unfortunately, and the COVID positives and all that, and it's going to happen. I mean, it's the inevitable. We're watching it with baseball. You know it's going to happen with football. So we'll see now. And look, the MLS has that challenge now. Saturday, we've got our first game. Sadly, you guys won't be at the stadium. But, again, this will be a challenge for them, too, now to do it post-bubble to try to stay healthy. This isn't going to be an easy thing for them. So, to me, I know we all want to talk about Tua, and we all want to talk about the O-line, and we want to talk about the defense, and we want to talk about New England in Game 1 and all of that. Let's see how the NFL can survive first this month of practice before we even get to the games. Let's see what kind of setbacks we have here right now so we can, in other words, this next month will give us a feel for, can we really get excited about football? Or is the bottom going to fall out from us and we're going to, be left hanging there? You know what I'm saying? So that'll be the quest, and we'll find out what's going on in camp, and we'll keep you updated as always. If you want to get in on the show, it's really simple. All you got to do is reach out to us on the text line, 786-322-1105. That's 786-322-1105 if you want to get in on the text line. The other way, by the way, to reach out to us is on Twitter, and that's at Big O Show. Of course, you got the YouTube chat board. You've got the Super Chat. Many ways to reach out to us now on the program, as always, as we've got the boys reporting. No X, okay? X is out, as you all know. He's been on the COVID list, and then he'll go through the quarantine protocol and all of that to get back there, and obviously coming back from the knee. So they're going to kind of ease him in there. And remember, he's a veteran, so he's going to adjust a lot faster than a street free agent, okay? And then, of course, a rookie or undrafted rookie, that obviously those guys, it's going to take them a little bit more time throughout all of this to kind of get, acclimated to everything out there. So they'll have a 90-minute session today in pads. September 13th is the date against the Patriots. So we're less than a month away to get back on the field with no preseason games, no off-season workouts. This is their training camp, and then you're starting the regular season. It's one hell of a challenge for the Miami Dolphins. Gus 1388 was first in this morning as we do a little roll call. David Jean is in saying good morning. Life's a Gamble says fins up. GM everyone. Yo, Big O, what do you think of that Flores interview today? Nothing. There was nothing there. He said nothing whatsoever. I saw it, and I was going to air it for you guys and break it down. There's nothing to break down. It was a total nothing press conference, unfortunately. NorCal is in the house. Thank you, NorCal. Julius 305, Dougie Fresh, Troy Ortiz, Flipside Fishing, Matthew Walker. Let's see. Jean-Luc is in. Pat in Nashville said Lou Williams did more than try. He got the wings to prove it. True. That's true. That is true. And he did get some lap dances, remember. Raging Dolphin Maniac is in. Let's see. Big O Flores also said you can't learn without playing. So when I told you about Tua sitting, you said he can learn, but coach said you can't. Now, we're talking about the offensive line, my brother. Offensive line can't learn at all without hitting. That's what we're talking about. The quarterback can learn, can watch how to prepare, but he doesn't need to play now. He doesn't need to take any hits right now, especially when there's no O-line. Miocic is now the greatest heavyweight in UFC history. I guess so. I don't know. Is there a greatest? Like, you always lose in that sport. You know what I mean? It's almost like you have the greatest for only a really short amount of time in the UFC, and then somebody takes over. Nice job by poking this dude in the eye. What's his name? Cormier. He poked Cormier in the eye and screwed up his retina. Apparently, he needs an operation. Actually, he's got to operate. He's got a scratched cornea or something like that. So he's got to fix that stuff. Let's see. Dougie Fresh says, if you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe. We got to get him to 3K. Do you really want to hurt him or hurt me? Tim Suppley is in. Samuel Robina. So appreciate all of you checking in there on the YouTube channel as always, and always appreciate the support. As I always say, tough weekend for the Marlins. Yeah, they lost 2 of 3 to the Braves. So they got the Mutts tonight. They start with the Mutts. Let's see what happens with the Mutts over the weekend. Hopefully they can get on track and take 2 of 3 from the Mutts, which would be nice. I also would be remiss if I did not mention former Gator wide receiver and University of Miami coach and current FIU coach Aubrey Hill passed away battling cancer, 48 years old, 48 years young. I mean, a guy that was a positive influence on so many young men and a good human being. That's the one thing everybody always said about Aubrey Hill. But I know, as one of the listeners was saying, tough weekend for the Marlins, tough weekend for football and for the Hill family, losing a good man in Aubrey Hill. So I just wanted to mention that. Our thoughts and prayers go out to Aubrey Hill and his family and the FIU coaching staff, obviously, who have got to be hurting right now with the loss of Hill. And everybody loses when a guy like Aubrey Hill has passed away, because those are the kind of people that make society better, not just football players. He makes people better. You know what I mean? So thoughts and prayers to Aubrey Hill, hearing that news over the weekend, and the age, 48 years old. I always go back to my dad, who passed away at the age of 51, and I'm 53, going to be 54 soon. And it's just one of those deals where, I've already outlived my dad, which is so sad to think of that, and I just see somebody pass away at the age of 48 when you've got so much more life to live and an impact that you can make. And it's just sad news to hear about Aubrey Hill. So thoughts and prayers out there to Aubrey Hill. 786-322-1105 if you want to get in on the program. That's 786-322-1105. If you want to get in, you can send it in on the text line. As always, if you have any questions, comments, any criticisms, all that kind of stuff, we've got it going on for you there on the text line. The Heat, tomorrow they will start the playoffs. And we will start at 11 tomorrow. We weren't given the early game. We were given the 4 o'clock game. If we were the 1:30 game, I probably would have started at 10 a.m., and we would have gotten in about a 3.5 hour show and turn it in and then and move on and watch the show as we're sitting here, cutting up the show and finishing it up, obviously, because even when we're done off the air, there's obviously a lot of work that Bill's got to put together to get this damn thing out there so people can podcast it. So tomorrow it'll be a 4 o'clock start. The Heat are favored by 3.5. They are minus 170. The over and under is 216. Indiana's plus 150. Derek Jones Jr. Looks like it's just a neck strain, I think it was, or some. The good thing is it wasn't anything serious. I thought for sure it was like a collarbone fracture. That's the way he was lying on the ground there and holding himself and all that. He was moving the legs and the arms and all that, so I knew there wasn't like a spinal deal or anything real serious. But I thought for sure, I go, oh, man, I'm sitting there with my wife. I'm going, he probably fractured a collarbone or something because the way he kept, wincing in pain and putting, obviously, it must have been what they call a stinger. You know what I mean? And so that must have been what he felt, which, by the way, awesome. That's all it was. And he'll be fine, and you'll get him back, and he's one of your better perimeter defenders. The kid's really developed into a nice player. And I was sitting there when he was lying on the ground, and I go to my wife, and this poor young man is headed into free agency. Like, he doesn't need this, And so I felt terrible for him at the moment, and then it was kind of a sigh of relief when I saw that, okay, he's not so bad. He's a little dinged up, probably will miss this game, but if they lose this game tomorrow, they didn't lose it because Derek Jones did not play. Okay? That's all. It shouldn't make a difference whether you win or lose the game. Are you a better team with Derek Jones coming off the bench? Hell's to the yeah, but you're still a better team than Indiana. So go out and prove it, okay? Go out and prove it. Anybody notice that Butler and Oladipo were kind of friendly? Anybody notice that? Just want to throw it out there because I thought it was kind of interesting the way those two were kind of commingling, as they say. And listen, if you're a Pacers fan, you can't feel good about keeping players. You know what I'm saying? So it's a possibility that they, could end up losing Oladipo. But I just threw it out there because I saw, what was going on, and Miami is going to do whatever it takes to try to bring another star in here. I mean, there's no doubt. Bam is turning into that because Bam does so much, man. He can defend, he can rebound, he can block shots. He's a passer. He's a solid mid-range shooter. I mean, the only thing he needs to take at a superstar level is pop outside to the three because the kid is so multi-talented and so versatile that he's turned himself into an all-star. The question is, could he take it to the next level and become a superstar-type player? We don't know that yet. We'll find out over time. But that's not going to stop this team from trying to get another star in here to help out Jimmy, to help out Bam, to help out Duncan and Tyler and all these cats. get over the hump. You know what I'm saying? But it'll be a really interesting offseason because Miami's going to try, and the cap is going to be a little restrictive because it's probably going to go down instead of going up like it was planned because of all the COVID losses. Now, good for the NBA that they figured out a way to have their season unscathed and get the rest of their regular season games in, get the playoffs in, and have no interruptions whatsoever in the process. Unlike baseball, they are mounting more and more problems as their season goes on because there's going to be so many teams that are going to be missing games, and they're going to have to catch up. I mean, the schedule, I forgot what it was for the Cardinals. It makes the Marlins, I think they have like 11 doubleheaders or something. How do you survive that?
The league is going to have to help them with the modification to the roster, right? Yeah, I just don't see.
You can't do that. You can't do that.
Why?
You can't go changing the rules in the middle of the season.
Why not?
Can't do that.
Well, they already did once.
But that was right at the beginning of the year. Right at the beginning of the year when they decided to extend the playoffs. That's it.
No, I'm talking about the roster. It was supposed to go from 30 down to 28, and they kept it at 29. They have made adjustments with the roster.
Yeah, but that's a team thing. That's a league thing. They're not going to do it for one team.
Yeah, but it ain't going to just be one team because the teams they're playing are also involved.
Yeah, but not as many games as them.
No, but still, you're running
saying.
teams into the ground, man, with back-to-back doubleheaders and playing three. Come on, you can't do that to teams.
I
man.
mean, it's going to be
it creates an unfair advantage that they had nothing to do with. They're not even the ones with the COVID. They're just subject to it because on the schedule, that's who you're supposed to be playing.
Yeah, but
they got to do something to help the teams so they don't, like I said, get run into the ground, which ends up creating an unfair advantage because of the taxing on your players.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But
it's not.
Eventually, they won't be able to end the season when they want to end the season because there'll be too many games left over because they'll keep having COVID positives and they'll have more and more and more people, not passing the test and creating more problems. I just think it's ridiculous for baseball, but they've got to figure out a way, and I just don't think that they'll be able to do it when it's all said and done. So we'll see what.
I mean, they could think about it. They could just because you're allowed to add an extra guy when you have a doubleheader. Extend it out to one or two, make it 2 or 3 players that you could add. You know what I mean? Just to help your pitching staff is what I'm saying. Just a simple little modification like that.
Gerald McCoy has gone down with a leg injury for the Dallas Cowboys. Don't know how serious it is, but that is coming across the wire right now. Whereas Gerald McCoy is has had an injury. Don't know how serious it is either. So it may not be serious. It might be season ending. I have no idea, but we'll keep you updated as things continue to develop.
Real practice starts, right? Pads first day, and we've already got people falling.
Of course, well, that's always good, but that always happens every year.
It does.
That's going to happen. That's kind of part of the game when it's all said and done. 786-322-1105. Ray Grulong says, "Good morning, Orlando and everyone. I can relate. My dad passed away way too young at 51 when I was a teenager when he did. Prayers to the Hill family." Yep. I was too, actually, when my dad passed away. It's just crap, man. Early 20s, actually. I wasn't in my teens. I was in my early 20s, and just terrible stuff. Lewis Bryant says, "Checking in from Atlanta. Big O prayers to Aubrey Hill and family and the Carroll City family. I went to Norland High, but it's still the same community. Most of us went to junior high together. Big loss." Yeah, huge loss for the community. Huge loss, obviously, for their family. It's 48, man. I mean, it's just unacceptable, dude. And just you see somebody pass away at that, and it's just like it's a joke. It's like, come on, man. We got, and this happens every day. Every day we lose people way too young. You know what I'm saying? This is nothing new, like I was talking about with my dad. But it's just so sad when, they could have contributed more to life. And it's just ridiculous that they're not here anymore with us. The impact that Aubrey Hill could have made with so many people for years to come. You know what I'm saying? Jay chimes in, says, Orlando, how about those New York Yankees bitten by the injury bug but keep on winning? Well, they're loaded. It helps that you're loaded so you can keep on winning. But no shocker, right? Giancarlo Stanton injured again. Man, that guy's a sack of injuries. Holy crap. And it becomes an untradeable contract, too, because you're paying him so much money and nobody's going to want to acquire him because, you got to have the luxury of saying, well, we can use him when he's healthy, but we're paying him $30 million a year. And God, that guy, man, it's amazing how it just every year he breaks down over and over and over again. Pipe Man Slim says, like the hat, Big O, you the man. Thank you, Pipe Man Slim. Appreciate you. This is a groovy hat that I ended up purchasing with the Marlins, and it's I love it, man. I love it. Got the hat.
That was Marlins Fest, as a matter of
Marlins
fact.
Fest. Yes, Marlins Fest. I went in there, and
what a great day, man.
That was a fun day, man. That was a fun day at Marlins Fest. And I'm glad that finally the season started, but unfortunately for our Marlins, man, they only get 60 games, and that's just not fun, man. That's not what they needed. They need a lot more of that. Laughing my ass off, sack of injuries. Well, yeah, it's what he is.
Before you move on with Yankees, supposedly Judge said yesterday he's 100% ready to go. Whether they let him back in, they're handling everything super cautious.
I have no choice.
Yeah. Exactly.
Doesn't matter. They're winning, so they can.
Right.
They can actually take it easy and
every night
and
there's somebody
around.
on the bench that could be playing in the majors.
Right.
Every night.
Yeah. So
even with the 3 down with LeMahieu, Judge, and Stan.
Yeah. So that's not a big deal. They're fine. They're loaded as long as their pitching stays healthy. That's actually more important. They have enough bats that they got guys on the bench. They got a couple guys they can call up. So they're loaded. That's not going to be a problem for them. They've got such a hell of a lineup. But remember last year, what the real problem for them was that their pitching was just never healthy all year long, and you cannot overcome that unless you have a couple of other aces sitting there. And last year they didn't even have an ace. Now they've got a guy that hasn't lost in like 7,000 days.
26 games in a row.
Yeah,
20-0.
He hasn't
no
lost
losses. Yeah,
like in 700 years. So that's the blessing for the Yankees, that if they keep their pitching healthy, they've got enough bats to rotate around that they'll be able to beat anybody. As long as you can pitch the way they're pitching, you're fine. That's what you got to do in order to win in the majors. 786-322-1105. If you want to get in on the program, that's 786-322-1105. Of course, you can reach out to us on the text line there, on the YouTube text line or chat board, and on the super chat as always. Watching the UFC heavyweight fight was an example of the glass being half empty, eye-poking, absolutely no grappling, and a match void of any excitement. That was the UFC's version of Tyson versus Jones. Not only was it not that good, okay, to settle the greatest heavyweight of all time, Cormier's out of shape, dude. I mean, one of the influences that Riley has had on me for players in general, Riley requires his Heat players that as they get older, he tells them, you got to come in a pound lighter than you were the year before. That's the kind of shape because as you get older, you get slower. As you get older and as you get slower, you put on more weight. So as you get older and you get slower, you're going to get even slower because you're adding even more weight to it all. And that's the one thing that I looked at Daniel Cormier and I saw a fat slob. Okay? All right? I'm sorry, but that's, I know he's a badass.
Don't hold back. Tell us how you really saw.
I'm sorry. That's what I saw. I saw a fat slob. And I'm thinking throughout that fight, I'm going, man, if he listens to Riley and if he comes back a little lighter and a little lighter, he would have won all 3 fights. Instead of losing the last 2, he would have won the last 2 if he would have come in a little lighter, since he's a little older and a little slower, and if he would have come in a little better shape than he was the last time, he would have won all those fights. But I saw a dude that was also out of shape. You know what I mean? The thing is, the guy's got a pair of nuts that don't fit in the stadium, right? So Cormier is a tough guy. You know what I mean? So normal people will not be able to do what he does, but he's not normal. But can you imagine if he was in shape? Would have been scary. I'm just saying. I just saw a dude that just, yeah, you had to push away from the Krispy Kreme a little bit. That's all. Cormier, bro, one less trip around the In-N-Out drive-thru. That's what I saw from the guy. Oh, and ordering, what is it called? Is it Monster or whatever it's called? What is it?
Is
Animal?
You're talking about the energy drink?
No. The when you go to In-N-Out, you get all that cheese. It's the Animal.
Oh, I can't remember, man.
It's called Animal, right?
You're
the
just
Animal
pissing
burger.
me off because you're touching a.
It's all that cheese on the fries and the burger. When you do that, I don't get that one, but some people do get it. I think it's called the Animal, right, or the Beast, or something. I forgot what it's called, but it's something called like that. Somebody help me out. The In-N-Out burger with a whole bunch of cheese. What's that called?
Now we have an itch that we cannot scratch.
Right,
Thank you.
Well, Daniel Cormier has been ordering that a little too much. That's all. I'm just saying. I was sitting there watching that fight, and I'm going, dude, if Riley was your trainer, you would have won this fight. Because Riley wouldn't have allowed you to go in there like a slob. Animal style. Thank you, Pipe Man Slim. Appreciate you. Okay? NorCal's coming in with the animal style. Now the animal styles are coming in. Julius 305 says, sorry, I'm skinny. Good for you, Julius. It's nice to be skinny.
You had to go there with the In-N-Out, didn't you?
Yeah, we had to.
Man.
Kenneth Cleveland chiming in with a little super chat. Says, good morning, Big O. Kenneth Cleveland is live from the Boom Boom Room, VIP only. That's right, baby. It's the Boom Boom Room. NorCal says, I don't eat at In-N-Out. I just know that's it. So what do you hate more, In-N-Out or Axl Rose? Which one is it, In-N-Out? I mean, NorCal. Which one is it, In-N-Out or Axl? Which one do you hate more?
How can you hate In-N-Out?
I don't know.
Is that
he hates Guns N' Roses. I don't know about that either. You know what I mean?
Well, that's because of Axl screwing him over while he's sitting in the crowd waiting in, a no-show.
Well, Axl's a jerk, but the music's still phenomenal.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
The other one that's weird, I have to say, NorCal, sorry, bro, Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
Another one that's a little bit puzzling.
It was a good performance by Miocic. He did an excellent job of clinching hooks to the body and making Cormier carry his weight. Boy, he really had to carry his weight. He had to carry his weight. He was saved by the bell and everything. Holy crap. Was Principal Belding coming in too? Right there at the end when he was saved by the bell? Huh? Holy crap. I just lose a little weight, bro. That's all. It wasn't, I don't think it's, to your point, Miocic came in weighing less than his 235. His cardio was better. There's no doubt, bro. Miocic was in shape, and Cormier was a slob. That's all. Cormier belonged, like, if we had a sequel to Fatso, the movie, and we had a follow-up, Cormier would be hired to play the Dom DeLuise role.
Was that just to pick up a check?
What, Fatso?
No, I'm just saying
Get the honey, Junior. Get the honey, Junior. Axl is just a dick. The music's okay. In and out is just bad. LOL.
Hey, FY, just for your info, having broke my collarbone twice, you would not be able to lay on your stomach if you have a broken collarbone. There's you can you.
I thought he broke something.
I gotta
on that
move.
area.
I gotta move. You can't.
I thought he broke something in that
Because
area.
you get where you can't hardly breathe. Your whole body's in that shoulder thing, man. Oh, your whole body's in pain.
I was just glad that it ended up becoming like.
And if you're doing something
fantastic.
physical, the first time I broke it in practice doing figure eights, I got up and I told Coach, I can't run.
Did you have
And he's like, what's
did you have
wrong
a
with your?
leotard on when you're doing your figure eight?
No, man, it's tiger drills,
Oh, okay.
rolls. They
Okay.
call them figure eights, bro.
I wasn't
Obviously,
sure if
you
had your
never played
skates.
football.
I don't know if you had
No, bro.
and
This is a football practice. Actually, conditioning before the 2 weeks prior to getting your pads. It's just hit my shoulder.
On?
Bro, I'm sitting there, and the coach walks up, and he's like, what's wrong, blah? I'm like,
Did you wear laces?
I can't run. And he just flat out, what's wrong with your legs? I'm like, it ain't my legs, man. It's not but I can't run.
Was your tutu a little too tight?
Never worn one, bro. Can't say.
I don't know about that.
Sorry.
You were doing figure eights. I don't know.
Okay, tiger rolls, bro.
To be fair, in rounds 2 and 3, DC was pretty much on instinct mood. Took him time to recover from 2. I'm just telling you, bro. If the guy goes in shape, he wins that fight. That's all. I think Cormier was out of shape. That's all. He's a badass.
That's why I asked.
To do what he did out of shape is just the guy's un cojonul. For those of you that speak Spanish.
Was he just going to pick up a check?
No.
Because obviously, if you're not in shape, in that sport, you better be in shape.
No,
5-minute rounds, man.
He's just a badass that he could do what he did at that with, he figured he could handle it like that. But I'm just looking at him and I'm going, if he was just a little lighter and in shape, I think he would have won the last couple of fights. But
bro, 5-minute rounds, that is a long time.
That's why
full contact.
Cormier's a badass.
That
shows you what kind of a badass Cormier is.
To get in that octagon, man, you better be in shape. 5-minute rounds is a long time.
He's in shape enough to carry his fat ass around for all those rounds. So yeah, he's but again, it's also just adrenaline, it's toughness, it's mental toughness. He has all of that, dude. Cormier's a badass.
Obvious, sure, no doubt.
I just look at him and I just say, man, if you just would have dedicated yourself to conditioning, you effing win that fight.
Do you think the experience and the number of years that he kind of I could do this?
He's a badass.
Yeah. Like I don't have to work it that hard because I've been here, done. I know what I could do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes
Uh,
that experience like that hurts you. You start thinking can get away with doing less.
Oh, if we get you to 3K, it's Boy George concert shirt time. What do we need to get you to for Bill to be in that tutu? Oh, we'll put Bill in a tutu when you get us to 5,000.
No. How about $1 million? Let's start like $1 million, and even at then, I'll probably up it to $1.5 million. We'll just keep that carrot dangling.
Happy birthday to Eric Carrier, VP Dolphins Fan Club of New England. Happy birthday, Eric Carrier. Nice job by you, sir. Another birthday in. We get to celebrate another birthday. It's a blessed day. Okay. Let's see. What do we have here? Big O, why you trying Bill? And I'm not trying. I'm just pointing out he was doing figure eights. Just, doing a little ice
You would have
skating.
ever played football with pads on it, dude. Like you wouldn't know what I'm talking.
I played pads.
Tiger
football
drills.
with pads on.
Okay, tiger drills.
We didn't do figure eights.
No, you got to get conditioned. You got 2 weeks of conditioning required
tutus.
before you put on pads. You had to.
No tutus in our practices. None whatsoever. You want to do figure eights? Well, that's a whole different ballgame. Were you trying to film Ice Castles Part 2 or something?
That would be a huge negative, my brother.
Okay, I'm just checking.
Actually, the guy that mentioned Norland, man, played several games and a couple of championships against North Date Optimists, who practiced right there at Norland Field.
There we go. That's exciting stuff right there.
Just to tie in with that guy, talking Norland, that the Vikings, once upon a time, man, really good program.
The Vikings. I love it. Oh, on the phone with Russian bots now. Yes. Go for it. Get them bots to follow and get it done. That would be a beautiful thing. All right, 786-322-1105 if you want to get in on the program. Kane scrimmage last night. De'Aaron King threw 4 touchdowns, 15 of 26, 178 yards. The only problem with all of this is that there was no media. And so I don't know how to feel about any of this. You're not going to tell me when De'Aaron King threw interceptions, when he overthrew people. You're not going to tell me the corners that got burned for those touchdowns, the defenders that got burned, how behind is the defense, how behind is the offense. The offensive line was an issue last year. Now there's been several recruits, all kinds of big names, but I don't know who's on the field, who's not, who's really playing well. So there's no objectivity going on. Again, not trying to be negative about it. I'm just trying to be honest about all of this. You know what I'm saying? And so, and then in the end, I got to also throw this caveat out there with all of this. Manny Diaz last year, as much as I like Manny Diaz, as much as I wanted Manny Diaz as a coach, and still want Manny Diaz as a coach, I wasn't part of the fire Manny Diaz, no matter how bad he was last year. And Manny Diaz was terrible last year. Terrible. Okay? I'm the first guy to tell you he was a horrible coach last year. Okay? There's no other way of shaping it up. But your team constantly, after bye weeks or a bye month, wasn't ever prepared. That's pathetic. All right? So, again, I got to be honest now. Manny Diaz, you have now been placed on double secret probation. So I cannot go by anything you just say, because there was a lot of talking last offseason, and then nothing was lived up to the talk. And you didn't look like a good coach. You didn't look like a prepared coach. Your team didn't look good. Your team never looked prepared. And so it's hard for me to just take whatever you tell me as gospel. And so now I need to see it on the field. I don't even know if we'll get to that point, because, again, I'll go back to my earlier conversation in this hour when we were talking about the Dolphins. I have no idea what we're going to see from the Dolphins yet, because nobody knows. You know what I mean? Nobody's been on the field. Nobody's hitting. So until they start hitting, but at least with the Dolphins, I have a track record that Flores showed me that his teams got better as the season went on. Whereas Manny Diaz, they were terrible, mediocre all throughout. They were unprepared all throughout. So when you come off of a practice that you're telling me about Jalen Knighton rushing for 126 yards, you know, Will Mallory had 4 catches for 71. I know he's talented. I know that. But, again, I need to see you in game action. And then I can get excited, because, unfortunately, I was so excited about Manny Diaz's tenure. And then when I watched all of last season, it brought me way down to reality. And I said, well, wow, is this guy ready for this? You know what I mean? And then I give him a lot of credit this offseason. He had a beautiful offseason. It seemed like Manny Diaz really addressed anything and every problem that they had and they needed to fix. It looks like he addressed it. You know what I'm saying? But, man, I got to see a lot more from Manny Diaz before I start getting excited about a scrimmage that means nothing, and that nobody of an objective eye was there to see. And if I'm only going to hear my information from the sports information department at the University of Miami, well, then I guess we'll win a national championship.
Well, last year he did a lot of talking. We know action speaks louder than words. He didn't do much talking this offseason. It was all about action and filling holes.
Yeah.
That is encouraging. And along those lines, though, do we have objective press at any of the Dolphin practices, or is this going to be the same type of information we're getting from the Canes, that it's going to come from the Dolphins people?
What? How's that again?
The practices that the Dolphins are having, are their objective press non-Dolphin hired?
I don't know how much access
right.
I don't know how much access the.
So we may be in the same boat as the Canes, that it's handled within the Dolphin hierarchy like the Canes.
Yeah.
It's nothing objective people.
I like Safadine, QB Josh Rosen with the deep pass in stride to Jakeem Grant. Another nice play with back shoulder from Fitz to Preston Williams. An underwhelming day in regards to seeing the Dolphins QB Tua throw an 11-11 setting. He had a steady diet of handoffs to running backs and only 2 passes to his last option. When he did pass, both were complete. Tua did look smooth making those handoffs. Hips look good. So, it's Cameron Wolf puts out Dolphins' first practice just wrapped up. Reps were split fairly even between 3 QBs. We got a good glimpse of Tua doing 3 team drills. He only threw a couple of passes in team drills, but movement looks good, looks fluid. We're just getting started. Okay? So there you go.
He's handing the ball off good.
Yeah.
He's on his way to being Bob Greasy.
And Grant looking good, which is nice to know because he's bouncing back from his season last year. I'm not a guy that has given up on Grant whatsoever. So, I can understand, those that may feel that way. But I think this is a kid that's going to have a big year for the Dolphins. I'm looking forward to Jakeem Grant in his 3rd year here with the team.
Well, considering what they did on the offseason, the 2 backs they brought in, he better get his butt in gear, correct?
Yeah. He'll be not backs. He's a receiver.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah. He's just a receiver. So he'll be a complimentary guy, and I think he'll be a nice number 3, number 4 guy because he becomes a complete mismatch when you've got to worry about Devontae Parker and Preston Williams, 2 big guys with speed that also have the physicality to go up in the air, and they've got the hands. That becomes a matchup nightmare with them. And then you throw Jakeem in there with his speed. Most 3rd and 4th corners will not be able to stay with a guy like that. So you can create all kinds of mismatches. And then Gesicki is also an outstanding athlete. So really, there's a lot of ways where Miami can actually create a lot of damage in the process. So it'll be interesting to see how all this develops. But for me, Jakeem Grant is one of those guys that I think is going to have a big-time year this year for the Dolphins. I'm looking forward to this. If they have a season, if somehow they can make it onto the field and actually play real games, Jakeem Grant is one of those guys that I really, really like a lot.
As the 3rd wide receiver with those other 3 options, like you said, what we saw, there's no reason to think that, he's going to have a mismatch every play.
Can you imagine paying for an interview for Tua to only talk about his handoffs? Yeah. Well, I mean, when you have Tua on, you can't expect, earth-shattering stuff from him because that's not what he's ever going to give you. It's like Russell Wilson. I'm sure, TV stations and radio stations, love getting the quarterback on because it's Russell Wilson, right? And so the Seahawk Nation loves that guy. But what interview does he come on and says anything that's earth-shattering? You know what I mean? He's boring. And Tua's going to be that guy. Tua's not going to give you any bulletin board material. He's not going to talk crap about the opponent. He's not going to talk crap about the team, not his team. I'm talking about the opposing team, right? Nothing. You're not going to get anything out of the guy. Okay? You're not going to get any kind of Johnny Manziel type of bravado. Like, yeah, it's our first day, but don't worry about it. In the next week or two, I'll have a hold of the starting job. And, I'll put everybody else way behind me and we'll take over here. This is my team. You're not going to get any of that from Tua. You know what I mean? So even if you have a QB show, it's just to have the name on. You know what I mean? Hey, I love Marino to death, man. If you remember Marino's interviews, none of them said anything. Ever. Because Marino never said. The only time he said something controversial was his last interview ever because he was pissed. It was 62-7, and Deuces Rogers asked him something that just, set him off. And that was the only time I'd ever seen Marino in a press conference actually be somewhat controversial. Whereas even when there was controversy going on, that guy would downplay everything and anything because he did all the ripping and all that stuff to people's faces, behind the scenes, on the field. He wasn't going to do any of it ever in the media. That's not Marino's style.
Mr. Vanilla.
Yeah, he was always like that. And so he was always going to be, it was smart too. It's extremely smart. The Cal Ripkins of the world are smart. The Tony Gwynns of the world are smart. The Russell Wilsons of the world are smart. They don't give you any material. And they say the right things every time, and they really end up becoming boring. Giancarlo Stanton, boring as hell. Never will say anything. He's a slugger and all that stuff, but the guy never says anything. And so that's the thing with Tua. And people, you all are going to be clamoring to want to hear Tua. But after a while, you'll get used to it and you'll go, he's such a good kid that he's just, it's going to be boring. It's Tim Duncan, right? Tim Duncan, Mr., the big fundamental, as they used to call him. And that's how he was in interviews, fundamentally sound. He wasn't going to get himself in trouble. He wasn't going to get his team in trouble. He wasn't going to talk about the opposing team. He wasn't going to talk about the opposing coach. He wasn't going to diss the sport. He wasn't going to diss his contract negotiations. He wasn't going to – nothing. You weren't going to get anything ever out of Tim Duncan.
Bull Durham, Crash, how to give an interview.
That's it. And that's exactly what you're going to get from Tua from here on out. So even if he has a quarterback show, there'll be nothing to say. I used to laugh because Marino would come on with Joe Rose every week. And I love Dan to death, but he was never going to say anything. So I knew in that segment, nothing controversial was ever going to be said. But you have him on because it's Dan Marino. And because Joe Fan is dying to hear from Dan. Even though Dan never says anything, dying to hear from him. And so Joe Fan will be dying to hear from Tua, even though Tua will say absolutely nothing. That's the way it is. Smart. ISIS says, what's up, Big O? Which position battle do you see as the intriguing besides the quarterback position? There's no intrigue in the quarterback position. It's Fitz for now until Tua's ready. I mean, there's really no intrigue. Intrigue. Running back, there isn't really intrigue because it's a team thing with Breida and Howard. Wide receiver, I don't think there's intrigue. If Preston comes back and plays the way he did, you got your top two guys. I think the intrigue will be at defensive end because there's a rotation of all kinds of guys. And I think, and because they're outside of Cal Van Noy, everybody else is, their pay is not that much of a difference. So I think there's a chance that you can see competition there where maybe one of the better pass rushers elevates himself. And whether it's Agba or Lawson or something like that, and becomes more of the featured guy. Obviously, the battle on the offensive line. Okay? From the Hunts to the Dorseys to the Dieters, all these different guys that are here to compete for starting spots. The offensive line, to me, is probably the most intriguing battle of them all because, believe it or not, the Dolphins have enough to start and maybe actually have one or two competent backups too. And that's where I kind of like the position that they're in at that spot. You know what I'm saying? Also, the defensive back, while Byron Jones and X are locked in, it's Noah, it's Needham. I want to see some of these other guys, and I want to see the development of Noah because it usually takes them, a little bit to kind of figure all this stuff out. So where does Needham build on from last year? And then Noah, too, on top of all of that. As a rookie, where's he going to be on the pecking order of all of this? There's a lot of things to look at. The most intriguing has to be the offensive line because it's the most important one. Without the offensive line, you won't have time to find receivers. Quarterback will be on his ass. You won't be able to run the ball. We won't be able to continue the development of Parker, of Preston, of Gesicki, and so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? So the offensive line definitely has to be one of a lot of intrigue because we got to figure things out now. Austin Jackson's got to be the starter. Julian Davenport needs to be the backup. That kind of stuff needs to be figured out. Because if Davenport's starting and Jackson's not, we're going to be scratching our heads going, huh? What's going on here? I mean, it's good for Davenport, but it's not good that you don't have Jackson starting. You know what I'm saying? So I expect Jackson to be the starter because he was a first-round pick. But these are all the things that I want to see, kind of develop with the Miami Dolphins. But I would say pass rusher is going to be interesting with all those guys rotating. And then offensive line is another one that I'm definitely looking forward to because that's going to be a situation that bears watching and maybe the entire season lays on the balance of the offensive line. Seriously. Because the defense can play well, but if the offense doesn't get it going, you're not going to win any games. Like the Marlins sometimes struggle to score runs, and they have issues with that. The pitching has been all right sometimes. The defense has been pretty solid, but the offense hasn't necessarily been, consistent like yesterday, 4-0. So if the offensive line is not blocking well, it ruins the entire season. It ruins the development of the offensive line. It ruins everybody else on offense, and your defense is out there killing itself, and it doesn't have the support from the other half of the team, or third if you want to include special teams as a third. So offensive line would have to be the most important competition because the domino effects to that is just devastating. Okay? 786-322-1105 if you want to get in on the program. That's 786-322-1105 if you want to get in on the program. Ronald says, good morning, everybody. When you make it to the show and you get in a fight in the bar with a drunk, never hit them with your pitching hand. Amen to that. That is so true. But in today's world, we want you to stay away from a bar also because you could get hit by COVID. So we don't want you to get hit by COVID and a punch. Okay?
Don't be like those players in Cleveland when they're visiting Chicago and go out.
Alan D says, is anyone else on the Armando Blocked Club? I don't know what I did. I have 10 tweets on my account, and none of them are about him. Sensitive much? I don't know what happened. I don't know. You're asking me an Armando Salguero question. You got to ask Armando Salguero, my brother. Is there anything Rosen can do in camp to show he's worth a shot until Tua is ready for till those days over? No, I don't think those days are over. Not at all. No. If he goes out there and balls out, I think they'll give him a shot early in the season. I don't think they want to give Tua a shot early in the season because I think they want that offensive line to develop. So if there are some struggles with Fitz and Rosen's playing all right, I can see Rosen getting the nod in front of Tua. One, for developmental purposes. Two, because if he is a little ahead of Tua, they're going to use him. That's how flow works. If he feels Rosen has a better chance of if Rosen gives him a better chance of winning than Tua at the moment, he's going to use Rosen. So, yes, it's up to Rosen to come out, ball out. Remember, Rosen ran all the practices in the offseason. So you just heard he connected on a deep ball here in the first day. So I'd rather hear that he's connecting than, oh, he overthrew somebody, underthrew somebody. Oh, he took a sack. So the good thing is you're reading that you're actually, the guy's actually looking good. So maybe that those practices and the connections in the offseason really helped him, okay? To Rosen's credit, apparently he is doing the things that he needs to become a better quarterback. So, yes, there is things he can do in order to become a better quarterback and get a shot in front of Tua. Plus, this gives Greer an opportunity to showcase him in order to trade him. So, yes, I think there's a shot. No doubt in my mind about that. Why is Fitz being discounted? I believe he's going to have a great time with Chan. Tua will learn a bunch, but just chilling behind him. Drew Boo, I don't think it's a matter of Fitz being discounted, okay? Let me explain what's going on here. Fitz is in the future, my man. And people know that he's the stopgap guy. In fact, Fitz knows he's the stopgap guy. And so, since subconsciously it's back here that we know he's the stopgap guy, we're already all looking ahead. It's normal. We want to see Tua. We want to develop Rosen to try to trade him. Whatever the agenda the fan has, you hear it, you see it. Why? It's not that you discount Fitz. I think every Dolphin fan now at this point, including yours truly, by the way, that downplayed the Fitz thing completely. I think we all appreciate now what Fitz brings to the table, the mentoring side of it, the bridge, the respect, the passion for football, the results, okay, because he did play his ass off last year. We can't take that away from the guy. That guy worked his ass off, and he played hard for every Dolphin fan out there, for every teammate of his, for every coach of his. For out of pure respect for the game, Fitz was a true pro last year.
You couldn't have asked more out of the guy.
No,
no way.
No. So I don't think it's a matter of that we've discounted him and that he's done and all that. It's just kind of what he is. So you got to remember, okay, this is what goes with our thinking, Drew Boo. We've been waiting for that next guy since Marino left. You know what I mean? It's the song Paradise at the Dashboard Lights, right? So will you stay with me till the end of time? And then he says, yeah. And he goes, well, now I'm praying for the end of time. So hurry up, man, arrive. Because if I got to spend another minute with you, you know that? Well, it's kind of like that's what the Dolphin fan is thinking. It's nothing negative against Fitz, but I'm waiting for the end of time to get here already so I can start my Tua time, so I can start the new Marino, right? The guy that is going to make his mark the way Greasy and Marino did. So it's a little of the Paradise at Dashboard Lights line that you're dying to end it, and it's nothing against Fitz. It's that you're just dying to have your new quarterback because we've been waiting for it since the 90s. And that's the problem. So it's not that we're discounting the guy. It's that we're dying to move into the position where we're finally now building to win, not building to reconstruct this team. And that's kind of what Fitz is. He's the guy that's helping you in the reconstruction. And he's not going to be there when you have to display the house for the grand opening. That's when you've got Tua out there. You know, that's your grand opening. That's when you know you're ready to compete, ready to be the guy, when you've got your real franchise guy. So it's not a matter of people disliking him, discounting him, not wanting him, not appreciating him. I think it's the opposite of all of that. I just think that we're all dying to move on. And we're dying to have our Greasy and our Marino, and we're dying to get to part 3.
He is what he is. He's the bridge to the future.
That's it.
A stopgap guy. And he's done an amazing job. He's exactly the person you want in that scenario. Like, what he's done with the quarterbacks and everything, with the whole team, the development of the receivers, everything. You couldn't ask for more.
Yeah. He's done a really good job. So you got to, it's just, it's just life. That's all. Life. Let's see. Love the singing. Oh, makes sense. And love my sweet baby Tua. There you go. And you'll see him soon. Ray Grulon says, good Meatloaf singing by Orlando. There we go. Yes. You guys are like.
Don't encourage him.
Yes, exactly. Give me a break. Good singing. Come on. You guys are being way too nice.
Stop.
Way too nice. Good singing. I wish I could actually sing.
Got a bunch of listeners out there that need to get their ears clean.
Yes. Yes. Meanwhile, they're all fixing their mirrors right now because I've shattered all of them. To a grand opening, grand closing, LOL, Tommy Tremonti. Why you got to be closing? Oh, you mean closing on Fitz? The grand opening of Tua is a closing on Fitz? Is that what you mean? Okay. I hope you don't mean like he's going to get injured or something. RVA on the text line, 786-322-1105. Big O, the idea situation online is for Robert Hunt at right tackle and Jesse Davis at right guard. Yes, but again, this is all, we don't know. We'll figure it out along the way. That's what they want to do with Robert Hunt. And if they do that, let me tell you, if somehow or another they got a guy to play tackle later on in the draft like that, that would be a steal of all steals. And would be another reason why we would say, wow, we got a real GM in there. I mean, I'm a big Chris Greer fan as it is, but these are the little things that if you hit on Robert Hunt, remember, okay, where you got him and who got him and all that, because that would be really interesting if it develops that way. I got to be honest with you. I'm hoping you got 5 guys better than Jesse Davis. I like Jesse Davis, but I like him as the fill-in guy. I still think, like, when you start Jesse Davis, I still think you need a little bit more.
A number 6, which very important because that guy's going to hit the field at some point during the season, guaranteed.
Several times.
Yes.
Several times. Now, maybe only once if you only play one position, but, Jesse's been even practicing at center. So they've got him all. He's just one of those kind of guys. And you got to have those kind of guys. Not necessarily stud starter, serviceable starter. Exceptional replacement. You know what I mean? Because he's so versatile. And that is priceless, as you all know. Because if you got a guy who can play, 2, 3, 4 positions on your team, that's a guy you're always going to have active because he can help you out in so many ways. And it'll be interesting to see how he does at center, if he does practice a lot at center.
The one thing we know from Flo last year, and we saw it especially with the secondary and him having street guys, street free agents starting. If you practice and you perform, you're going to get playing time. It doesn't matter, like back in the day, you were the first round. Say, if you can play, you're going to get on the field.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. Trey Matier, I think is how it's pronounced. He says, Jesse Davis is like a step above John Fox, holding call after holding call. John Fox was a coach. I think you're talking about the UM guy. What's his name? It's not John. Damn it. I forgot the guy's name now. But I know what you're talking about. And he might be slightly better than that. You know? Slightly better than that. Forgot his name. Really nice guy. He's thinking of the UM guy that was really, really bad here. You know who it is?
How far are we going back?
Like 10 years ago, he was a starter at UM. 15.
Oh, wow.
And then he played, more than 10, maybe, actually. No, maybe 15. It could be closer to 15. Time flies when you're old, bro. I forgot. Somebody will remember his name.
The older you get, the faster it goes. That's what they say.
Yeah, somebody will remember. Jason Fox. Thank you. Jason Fox. That's it. That guy. Yeah, Jason Fox was terrible. Now, slight defense for Jason Fox. He had all those injuries that just never really allowed him to reach his potential. But he was terrible. I'm not going to sugarcoat it at all. Okay? He was terrible. But he did have a bunch of injuries that kind of ate into his career. Okay? I don't know how good he could have been or whatever, but he was terrible. That I'm not going to disagree. I think Jesse Davis is a little better than Jason Fox. I don't think Jesse Davis is that bad. Okay? I think he's serviceable, actually.
We are at 12, a little bit past.
Oh, yes.
And you have done an hour and 12 minutes, sir.
Oh, we went early. That's right.
All
right,
just in case you were wondering.
Let's take a break. An hour and 12 minutes before we take a break. All right, let's do that. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back on the other side. Moody-S Dental, proud sponsor of our program, 305-821-0231. Invisaligns, implants. You want to clean your teeth. You've been quarantining for months and just stuffing your face. Clean those teeth, baby. Cavities, root canals, you name it. They do it all. State-of-the-art equipment. Family-owned and operated, father and son there. I've known Eric now for a while. He's been a huge fan of our show for many, many years. Loves sports. So if you're dealing with Eric, talk a lot of sports. He loves sports. And more importantly, when you go to Moody-S Dental, follow them on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Moody-S Dental. Tell them that Big O sent you. They will take care of you. Call them. Set your appointment. 305-821-0231. Spotless. The place is super clean. Very important in today's atmosphere. 305-821-0231. You guys know I would never mislead you. Go to moodySdental.com.
It's a buyer's market at Toyota of Hollywood. Over 1,500 Toyotas on the ground, and truckloads just keep on coming. Now pay up to 50% less. 2020 Camry, not $29,000, $17,775. 2020 Corolla, not $22,000, $13,775. Buy a new 2020 Toyota with 0 down and 0% financing, or we'll make your payments till 2021. At Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street.
Are you tired of watching the same old travel videos on the internet? Well, then check out MikeNoGoZones.com, a travel documentary that's breaking barriers. I go to the places that the media tells you to fear, where no one else dares to go. Baltimore, Opelika, South Side of Chicago, and more. Go to MikeNoGoZones.com.
America's safest and best-selling compact luxury SUV is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. RDX, $339 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
This is the Big O Show. 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 This is the Big O Show.
All right, we're back. All right, man. We take you, of course. I don't know when we'll go to. We'll go for a few hours here. We'll be chatting. You know how it is. We'll talk, and there's plenty to talk about. And so we'll get into a lot of football stuff. We'll answer your questions. By the way, if you have questions, send them in on the text line at 786-322-1105 or here on the YouTube chat board, the super chat as always. It's a beautiful thing. We should be 2 preseason games into the season today. Yep. Well, no preseason, baby. Donald Peterson's Big O, happy football season. Well, that's if there's one. I'll get happy when we're actually really having a real football season. And I'm not gonna build myself up, man. I'm not. This COVID thing has like torn down so much for me that I've gotta, I've got to play the wait and see approach is the way I've got to do it. You know what I'm saying? Alex says, I hope we get football. Highly unlikely we get a whole season, though. I agree. Let's see. You see these idiots in Georgia last night. What'd they do last night in Georgia? I don't know. You got to fill me in, Alex. Let's see. Big O, who is the safest jersey to invest in? I thought it was Fitzpatrick. The safest last year that you can recommend a jersey that will stick besides Tua's. Don't like QB jerseys. I'm going to go Wilkins. Go Wilkins at defensive tackle, dude. He'll be here for a long, long time. I like him. There's one for you, man. You know, Devontae looks great, but he's got to obviously overcome the injury history, so we're still a little nervous about that. We'd like to see another solid season this year, and then you kind of feel good. You know, Preston's still young. Gesicki's, entering his 3rd year. So there's a few guys that that you could go with, and I think Wilkins is one of those guys that I think is going to be here for a long, long time. So get the defensive tackle, okay? Charismatic, leader, got better as the year goes on. And let me tell you, defensive tackles a lot of times take 2 or 3 years to develop. And he was kind of developing already towards the end of the first year, which I expect him now to really take another step this year and become more of a player. So I'll go with Wilkins because I think it's safe. Okay? If that's what you're looking for, a safe one, that's a safe one for you right there. Rosendo says good afternoon to everybody. Trey throws in Byron Jones. Thing is, Byron Jones is a free agent. You know what I mean? So it's kind of, I'm sure he'll be here for a few years, but, he wasn't drafted by them and all that. So I would go with Wilkins. Actually, I hope Jonathan Martin is doing better. Last time we heard about him, he was having some horrible psychological problems. Yeah. No, there's no doubt that kid has some issues. Big O is having technical issues. No, I'm not. I wasn't having any technical issues. A break longer than usual. Dude, I just did an hour and 12 minutes. I did an hour and 12 minutes of straight talk. They don't do that in radio. So if I took a 14-minute break, I think I'm entitled to it. And I didn't even take a 14-minute break. Longer break than normal. Like, nobody ever takes in the fact that I did an hour and 12 minutes. Like, come on, bro. Google says that Martin didn't go to prison. They got him some help as part of a plea bargain. Good for him. Richard, I'm getting a Baker jersey. He's a likable dude. Baker. Samuel says, University of North Georgia students threw a block party. Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of morons in Georgia. That's why they're one of the problem states. Like us, we're right there, number one. Us, Texas, California, Arizona, Louisiana, South Carolina, Georgia. These are all the problem states. Now, you know what's going to be interesting? I don't think it'll become a problem state because they don't have the population. But now that Sturgis finished, and let me tell you, every day I looked at the videos coming out of Sturgis, and nobody was wearing a mask. Okay? Like out of 1,000, every 1,000 people you saw, maybe 2 were wearing a mask. Okay? It was bad. Really, really, really bad. So it'll be interesting to see how the numbers progress in South Dakota. Okay? Because that's a place that had 0 or 1 death maybe every other day or something like that. They had 2 the other day. And I was like, wow, I didn't even check yesterday, actually. What was it yesterday? But it won't catch up to them right away. You know? It won't catch up to them right away. It'll take them a couple of weeks to actually catch up, and then it'll start to affect what they did there. It starts to spread and kind of take over. I doubt it's going to do anything. Let me see if I could tell you what happened yesterday. Oh, wait. I got to go this way to get to it. Hold on. Wait a minute. Let us put some boom in it. No, 1 death yesterday. 156 cases. So it'll, like in a week or two is when it'll start to, if anything happens, okay? Because remember, they had so many people come from all over the country to go there. And some people brought it with them, So that's what's going to happen now with NFL teams. Somebody's going to bring it, unfortunately. Let's see, what else do we have here? Some sorority at Oklahoma State had an outbreak. Some people only learned the hard way. Oh, yeah. I mean, there's already thousands of students in quarantine. Let's see. Pat in Asheville, no break for you, O. Alex Toledo says, I didn't mean it in a bad way, O. Oh, I know you guys didn't mean it in a bad way. It's just kind of funny that I've done an hour and 12 minutes straight. It's like, well, he's taking a little break longer than normal. And it's like, what's longer than normal? 4 minutes? 5 minutes? I agree on Wilkins. Loved him at Clemson. Once he is at full NFL speed, look out. Wilkins is going to be a monster. I never get players' jerseys. I'm a fan of the team. My jerseys all say Dolphins or Dolphin on the nameplate. That's smart. That's. I mean, you can't lose that way. Pat in Asheville says, in 2 weeks, cases are going to explode. NFL training camp and college classes start today. I agree. Parents are complaining we should have schools 5 days a week physically, ignoring there is a pandemic out there. Oh, don't worry about, well, listen. The parents that have no way of taking care of their child, I understand the desperation that those parents are in. Okay? I really do. I mean, I'm at a point now where my kid's a young adult, so I don't have that problem that we could have had, you know what I'm saying? So I can't be a hypocrite either, and it's got to be so tough for parents that have to work to make a damn living so they can put food on the table for their kids and pay their rents and mortgages and all that, and they can't afford to keep their kid home because they can't stay home and lose money either. So it's such a tough situation, but we're in a pandemic, and we've got to figure out a way to do it, man. It's brutal. Some parents are in a really, really, really tough position, man. Florida's past the peak and is trending down radically. The last month has been our deadliest month. What trend is that, dude? That trend is up. What do you trumped also, bro? Huh? You trumped also? Is that what's going on radically? You keep listening to the idiot governor? Oh, the trends are down, and the death rate's been going up, man. Are you not watching? You have your lulls on Sunday and Monday, and then it skyrockets to 1,200, 1,300, 1,500 deaths. I'm not sure if you're paying attention, but it has not gone down. It's been going up, the death rate. It's been pretty bad. So when they start actually really going down, the last 30 days have been the most deadly month in Florida so far during this whole thing. How is that trending in any way but up? Not exactly sure. I mean, some of you out there, man, I really suggest you stop being Democrats or Republicans. Start to look at it objectively, man. Trending downwards. Whoa. Last month, the death rate is through the freaking roof. I don't know how anybody can say that. I have a Larry Zonka throwback jersey. It looks real, but it was made in China. Nice. There you go. Did it have COVID or no COVID? Haven't gotten a jersey since Dwayne Wade. Yeah, I'm sure the Black Plague was a wonderful time too, LOL. What was that for? Oh, I spoke with a man this weekend that can remember when polio didn't have a vaccine. Life went on for everybody. Yeah, no, thousands dying, and yeah, life goes on. Yeah, screw the people that are dying. So radically follows up with the downtrend to life goes on. Screw the people dying. We got you, bro. Now radically all I needed to hear was that, and that's it. Now I know how to kind of treat the rest of your text from here on out. It's all good. It's all good. All good, baby. Toyota of Hollywood, by the way, proud sponsor of our program. Remember, get on down there. Go see Steve Ostrov, Herbie Lopez. When you see that big counter when you come in, he's on the far right. Second to right, last seat on the right. Herbie, bald guy, super nice. If you've got a difficult person in your house, your wife, your mother-in-law or whatever, and they need a car, go see Herbie. Because like my mother-in-law, beautiful person, but kind of a pain in the ass. So, she's like one of those women that, like, it takes them 8 years to make a decision. I know what you're saying. That's all women. That's just not right, okay? Don't do that. Don't do that now. But anyway, so she takes like 8,000 years to make a decision, right? And Herbie handled her like gold, dude. It was amazing. I'd never seen anybody have that kind of success with that woman. So, just in case, if you got somebody that's a little difficult to deal with, go see my man Herbie Lopez. Guaranteed he will take care of you. Good people out there. The lovely and talented Lori Rodriguez is out there. 1841 North State Road 7. Tell them that Big O sent you. That's very important if you buy or lease a vehicle that you tell them that we sent you, okay? Because that obviously helps us here on the program. It's a great way to support us, okay? Thank you very much. Let's see. They are watching. They are just in denial. If you pretend it's not happening, maybe it will go away. Our governor says the upward trend is only because of mass testing. Do you agree, Big O? Yeah, I agree that he's a mass ass is what I think that governor is. The more you test, if the positivity rate is up, that's the problem. It doesn't matter how many people you test. You could test more people if you were smashing the curb of the damn thing, it would still be down. But the fact that it's going up means it's spreading is what it means. Doesn't mean that there's more testing. Only stupid people fall for the more testing thing that the president throws out and that his tool, DeSantis also says. Well, we're testing more. That's why there's more cases. No, dumbass. If the percentage of positivity is going up, that means you have a problem. You could test more and more and more. If it's the same 8% testing positive, it would stay that way no matter how many more people you would test. Because that means people are listening to you. They're following the rules. They're maintaining social distancing. They're wearing their masks. They're not doing stupid things like parties. But when you're doing stupid things like protesting without a mask and having parties and all that other stuff, okay, then you're going to keep spreading it. It is what it is. So if the positivity rate is going up, it doesn't matter how many people you test. That's the dumbest argument that's out there, and you're a fool if you fall for that argument about, well, we're testing more. Positivity rate should not change at all, no matter how much you test, if you're actually following the rules. But when you're not following the rules, the positivity rate will go up. That's the difference. You know what I'm saying? 786-322-1105 if you want to get in on the text line. That's 786-322-1105. Big O, I live in Atlanta. I don't know who is stupider, or DeSantis or Kemp. I don't know who wants to kiss Trump's ass more. Well, that's why both states are clown shows. That's all. Just look at the states that didn't take it serious and opened too early and all of that, and they're all in trouble. That's all. It's pretty simple. California opened too early and screwed themselves. Texas opened too early. Florida opened too early. That's what's going on. Georgia never even took it serious. Georgia and Texas's governor were like laughing at the whole thing at the beginning. Hell, I mean, you got that governor suing the mayor from Atlanta. She's got way more common sense than he does. Again, we just put the wrong people. Look at Portland, bro. How do you put that idiot in office? He allows people to destroy his town for almost 80 days? How do you allow that, bro? A riot happens one day. The next day, I got it loaded up with cops, and I'm cleaning the streets, bro. I'm wiping the streets clean of all these scumbags and putting them all in jail. That's not protesting. Okay, I have no problem with protesting. Once you start destroying property, I'm done with you. I got no patience for that. And that Portland mayor, that clown has been allowing that. That's what I'm telling you, man. That's the problem in our country. Stop being a Democrat. Stop being a Republican. Stop being a freaking homer for your side. Call it like it is. Okay? You don't allow what the Seattle mayor did, those autonomous zones. Stupid, bro. How are you going to allow people to take over your streets and take over your police department? What kind of crap is that, dude? These are the people we're voting into office. These are the people we're putting in power. The idiot Newsom in California, the idiot here, DeSantis. I don't care that they're Democrats or Republicans. I care about what's right and wrong. Okay? That's it. Right and wrong. That's all. Not Democrat, not Republican, right or wrong. And anybody that tells me what's going on in Portland is right, you know what the hell you're talking about. That's not American. American is not scaring the crap out of your citizens and allowing criminals to run rampant throughout the street and set crap on fire and shoot at police officers. And no, dude, sorry. I get we have bad police officers. Let's get rid of those bad ones. We got a lot of good ones. We got to support the good ones because they're the ones you're going to call when you need them. And it's just too radical to the left, too radical to the right. It's just that's I keep telling you that's our problem. That's what screws up both sides, the extremes of each side. Oh, I live in Portland. At this point, it's just anarchists causing trouble. It's not about police abuse or oh no, of course not. These are just idiots that want to take advantage of the moment, and they're criminals. That's all they are. And to allow any of that to fester, brother, I would have scared the living crap out of all of them. I would have called in the National Guard. I would have swept these people up. I would have thrown all their asses in jail. You saw in Portland, they're not charging them with any crimes. Like, you have to, like, literally commit, like, a crazy-ass crime. But the people that, like, lit crap on fire and broke stuff and all that and were caught, they're going to let them go. Like, it's almost like you were, you had temporary, loss of judgment. You were crazy for a moment, so you were allowed to destroy a cop car. What? What the hell is that?
Got caught up in the mob mentality.
What the hell is that? I saw that in Portland, that they're not going to charge most of these people, and it's like, are you out of your mind? You need to charge them. They need to serve jail time. You need to send messages to people. And look, this goes on all over the world. I told you this last week. It doesn't matter if it's Beirut. It doesn't matter. I was in Paris a year and a half ago for my wedding anniversary. And the French were destroying their own places. It's just one of those things. Protesting goes along with vandalism. So it's almost like, okay, we're going to protest. We now have a license to be criminals too. No. You can protest. God bless you. I support it 100%. The second you pick up a rock, the second you start breaking a window, I'm done with you, bro. I'm done with you. You're going to jail. That's not protesting. Ruining somebody else's business, terrorizing citizens is not protesting. All right. Anyway. Big O, should I vote for Scott Israel to keep our schools safe? Oh, God, I wouldn't vote for that guy. If you guys are screwed either way. I don't even know what to think of the current guy in place. I have no idea. But Scott Israel is not a guy that I would even trust. Anyway. Let's see. Heard that Trump is now upset with DeSantis because the state is a mess and Trump can't hold the hate rallies in Florida. Well, I mean, hey, listen, the people that see our limitations, they can blame themselves, the ones that aren't wearing masks. That's all. Pretty simple. So, what are you going to do? All right, 786-322-1105 if you want to get in on the text line. That's 786-322-1105 if you want to get in on the show. Let's do this. Let's take a really quick break. We'll come back on the other side, bottom part of the hour here. It is 12:30. Quick break. We do want to remind you that Toyota, Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines, not Toyota, Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines is a proud sponsor of our show. 12th anniversary sale going on right now. And, folks, you can get as low as 0.9% financing there. And right now the RDX is $289, the MDX $319, the TLX $239, the ILX $199, only $29.99 to its signing, plus tax tag and registration. We'll come back with more right here on The Big O Show.
It's a buyer's market at Toyota of Hollywood. Over 1,500 Toyotas on the ground, and truckloads just keep on coming. Now pay up to 50% less. 2020 Camry, not $29,000, $17,775. 2020 Corolla, not $22,000, $13,775. Buy a new 2020 Toyota with zero down and 0% financing, or we'll make your payments till 2021 at Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street.
Are you tired of watching the same old travel videos on the internet? Well, then check out MikeNoGoZones.com, a travel documentary that's breaking barriers. I go to the places that the media tells you to fear, where no one else dares to go. Baltimore, Opelika, South Side of Chicago, and more. Go to MikeNoGoZones.com.
America's safest and best-selling compact luxury SUV is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. RDX, $339 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
This is the Big O Show. 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 This is the Big O Show.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right, we're back. Big O getting a call from the heads of QAM. Stop talking politics. LOL. Good riddance. They probably would tell me something about that. Isis says, me as well. I'm excited to see the youth movement. I'm excited to see that we have a lot of great young pitching coming up. It's fun to watch. Talk about the Marlins. Yeah, they just got they're young, man. They needed the 162, man, to develop the bats. Hey, our boy Matt hit a home run this weekend, so that was nice to see the youngin get on the board. That was good. Oh, music talk. Who do you think is bigger in Rock and Roll Hall of Fame snub? Soundgarden, the Smiths, or Joy Division? Well, Joy Division is definitely not in the same class with the other two, because New Order is way more successful than Joy Division. So I would put New Order instead of Joy Division in that list, and I'd still put the Smiths over Joy Division, and it'd be a tough battle between Soundgarden and the Smiths. But I'm going to go to the Smiths. Why? Because the Smiths are, if not the biggest, one of the two or three biggest names in their genre of music, whereas Soundgarden is great. They are nowhere near the top or two or three of their genre. So that's where the Smiths mean way more to alternative than Soundgarden does to more modern rock. Okay, not that Soundgarden is not great. Love Soundgarden. Excellent band. Chris Cornell, bless him, rest in peace. Hell of a voice. But the Smiths are like the Beatles of alternative, bro. It's like you argue between the Smiths, The Cure, and like Depeche Mode, and REM. Probably those are the big four of alternative. You know what I mean? And the Smiths, to some people, might be considered kind of the Zeppelin of that genre of music. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things. There's that aura behind that band that is, it's different than the others. So I will go with the Smiths out of those three. Okay? There you go. I don't know if I answered it. And listen, it's subjective. Maybe you can agree or disagree, whatever. CC says, love to see Marlins get in playoffs and make some noise. I mean, that would be a nice story, but I doubt it would ever happen. Soundgarden, Chris Cornell's the man. I do love the Smiths, but Chris Cornell is the man. No, Chris Cornell is amazing. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. But then again, it's not like Morrissey doesn't have a great voice himself. You know what I mean? And Johnny Marr is a magical guitarist, you know? I saw Public Image Limited open up for New Order. The crowd was done by the time New Order came. Don't ever try to follow Johnny Rotten. Two different. It's kind of like two different bands almost, right? Like Public Image Limited is alternative, but it has kind of a punk type of edge to it. You know what I'm saying? Where New Order is dance-oriented more than anything else. Love New Order. You know what the real problem with New Order is? They don't do a lot of big concerts, long-term concerts and stuff like that. They don't stay on stage a long time. It's rare that you'll get a 2-hour show from them and you'll walk away like, wow, they blew me away. They'll play an hour and 15 minutes, and that's like a long concert for them, and they're done. You know, I saw a great concert over the weekend from Hall & Oates in New York. It was back in 85, I think it is, in New York City, July 4th. And it's called the Liberty Concert or whatever and all that, and you have the Twin Towers in the background, and, you know, the views are pretty cool, and the show was 13 songs. And Hall & Oates is another one of those bands. They don't do long sets. And it's just been like that throughout their tenure, their history. They just don't sit there and jam for 2.5 hours. They don't do that. It's just one of those deals. 13 songs. It's a great show. set list was excellent for the 13 songs, but it was a short concert. It's like wow, man. And I've seen them to this day. I was complaining because they did an encore, and they did an encore for the 11th and 12th songs in their sets. And I'm like, when you have a 12-song set, you're not allowed to do an encore. You know, I'm sorry. I know there's no written rules and all that, but for a guy that's been to a lot of concerts, my man or women out there, if you're all going to do, encores, you need to do at least 15, 17 songs first before you get to an encore. You're doing 12 songs and 2 of them are your encores? No.
I got a question regarding that concert. Was G.E. Smith the guitarist, or had he already shifted? So he was still there, not with SNL and being the leader.
Oh, remember, he went from David Bowie. He's on Scary Monsters.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
He was Bowie's guitarist too.
Right.
Go look at the fashion video. He's in it.
Yes.
He's
You're
in the
right.
fashion video.
Good. You're right.
And so, he went to Saturday, but that was way after that. Not 85.
It was 90 something.
Yeah, it was in the 90s.
Beginning of the 90s, he became the band G. Smith.
Yeah,
Saturday Night Live band.
He's just one of the great.
One
of the best underground guitarists that people don't know about. But yes, that band was an excellent band that Hall & Oates had with him. But yes, he was there. He was on stage. I saw him in the concert over the weekend. It was really, really good. Really, really good show. I posted the link on Twitter if you want to check it out.
I did see it.
It's a quick show. It's only 13 songs. But the views are awesome, and they cleaned up the video. So it's like an HD, as close as you could get to HD. Because it's an 85 video. But I love what they're doing to a lot of these old concerts, that they're going back and they're digitally cleaning them up. And so the sound was awesome. The video was awesome. And then the views, you know what I mean? And obviously every time you would see the Twin Towers, it just obviously, it gets to you. You know what I'm saying? But if you can, check it out. It's on my timeline there at Big O Radio Show. Big O Show, I'm sorry, on Twitter. Big O, what was your favorite music concert you went to? Jay, there's too many, bro. There's U2 and Oasis in 97 in the Coliseum. There's U2, what's it called? Unforgettable Fire at the Hollywood Sportatorium. There's Octoon Baby, 92 Lakeland, 91 Lakeland. Am I wrong?
Something like that. When we took off from being at Club Ovo at 2 o'clock in the morning, deciding, hey, let's go to Lakeland.
Yeah. Santana, 3 hours and 45 minutes. The Z-Bop tour in the Sunrise Musical Theater back in whatever that was, 83, something like that.
The Cure, Wish.
Oh, yeah.
At the old Miami Arena.
Yep.
That's the last time I saw a band get in front of the drum set and do the last 8 songs. Like, get together, hey, we're going to play this, go get your instrument, play. Get done with the song, go in front of the drums. What are we playing? Go back out, play.
Yep.
That was amazing.
Motley Crue opening up for Ozzy at the Hollywood Sportatorium. It's just too many, man. Oh, I'll give you one that nobody would ever guess. Robert Palmer. I got goosebumps. One of my favorite shows of all time. It's a top 20 show. I don't know where I would rank it. He played nearly 3 hours, about 245, 250. He had, I think, 2 or 3 encores. Santana, by the way, had 4 encores in that concert in the Sunrise. And he was, I never expected this from a Robert Palmer concert. Never in my life did I expect it. Okay? And Robert Palmer's one of those guys that you don't realize how many songs he has. That's the other thing. I can come up with a few more shows that just, Depeche Mode and the at the Miami Arena. It was freaking phenomenal.
Violator Tour.
Yeah, the Violator Tour, exactly. And the was Red Dusk or Red Musk or whatever it was called.
The Johnny Mars on guitar for the is like the extra little bonus caveat.
Yeah. Yeah. There's there's so many concerts that
Elton John
John
will camp out and play you 2 hours and 45 minutes.
But go back to Elton John with Billy Joel. Back in the day when the dueling pianos, that was another freaking phenomenal concert. I mean, there's too many. It's hard for me to pick just one, actually. You know what I'm saying? Iron Maiden.
Quiet Riot opening up for Iron Maiden, you catching Steve Harris's wristbands.
Yes, and that was the Peace of Mind tour. They were opening up, and that was a phenomenal show there, too. There's too many, bro. I've been blessed. There's so many great concerts that I've been to. Van Halen, Fair Warning, 81, Hollywood Sportatorium. That concert was sick. One of my favorite shows of all time was that Van Halen concert. Loved it, man. It's a lot. It's a lot. Oh, Monsters of Rock. Metallica, Scorpions, Van Halen, Orange Bowl. Somebody else I'm missing. There was a fourth band there. Always forget the fourth band. But yeah, those are some. I'm sure I can think of a couple more that I would throw right there with those bands.
The U2 show at the Forum the second night, getting to see 40 played.
Oh yeah,
to finish the show. That's
I got to tell you the Last Innocence and Experience, the one I saw at Madison Square Garden. That was also a legendary set list too, and I love a lot of the new stuff.
Oh,
so it was really
the
really
way
good.
they did a live music video during the concert and they walked through that contraption that they created.
Yeah,
that was too cool.
Yep.
You know what? 9 Inch Nails, when they did that special effect and had that triangle circulating around.
Yeah.
Had never seen a special effect during a concert like that.
Yeah. Let's see. What else do we have here? Big O Show. I'm back from Detroit and in one piece. Thanks again for having me on the show Friday. Thank you, Mikey. And glad you're back from 8 Mile. Did you say hi to Eminem for us is the question. Did you see Ted Nugent? Simon and Garfunkel in Central Park is a great live show to relive. Paul Simon even thanks all the dope dealers. LOL. Big O, do you think Josh Rosen will make Pro Football Hall of Fame? Let's see. Back to work for me, says Dennis Akers. Hope everybody has a great day. Stay safe out there, Fins fam. Dennis, have a great day, my brother. Thank you for tuning in as long as you could. Oh, what's the reason why the most musical acts skip San Francisco during their tours? I had no idea. I only lived in San Francisco for 6 months, so I didn't have that experience. So I don't know. I didn't know that most musical acts skip San. That makes no sense whatsoever. San Fran's a great town.
I thought we were the only ones that got skipped.
Yeah, no, I know South Florida gets skipped a lot by a lot of bands. But I had no idea that San Francisco that doesn't make sense.
The only thing I could think of, like we heard from was it Johnny from Santana, your buddy?
Oh, Tommy.
Tommy. Just the logistics of going all the way up there.
Yeah, but
cost.
But you go to Seattle, you go to Los Angeles.
You would think.
You go to Vegas. No, dude, no. It's not like us that we're down in the bottom end of the panhandle, and the only way back out is that way. Whereas you go west, you can just go east to cities that are just east of it.
No, but I'm talking going all the way to San Francisco.
Yeah, but San Francisco in Sacramento's right next to it.
That's true.
It's just east. That's all. And then you're going to go up to Seattle, and you're still going to go down to Los Angeles, and you're going to go to San Diego.
If you go to Seattle, you could go up to Vancouver.
Yeah, exactly. No. It's there's plenty of places to go out of all those areas. Whereas Miami, you got to travel the hell out of the state to get back up.
Well,
to the
you're
country.
going to the Caribbean. You're going over to Puerto Rico, and
that's what you probably should do. Yes, or start it here, like Van Halen did every year. Every year they would start in Miami and then drive out of the Panhandle, and then go to Tampa, Jacksonville, and then hit the rest of the states.
Wasn't David Lee Roth's grandparents living down here?
I have no idea.
I seem to recall him saying that a couple times.
I don't remember, but all I know is they would always start their tours here. Them and Iron Maiden, they start their tours here. One of my favorite shows was Testament, opening up for Pantera and Slayer, headlined. Seriously, moshed all night. Epic. You're a nutbag. Let's see, what else do we have here? Not San Francisco, South Florida. Well, it's the expenses. It's that you didn't mean San Fran. You meant SF for South Florida. See, SF only means one thing, San Francisco. I don't think South Florida. You got to put SoFla in order to put, if you want to shorten it for us, it's SoFla, not SF. It's logistics, it's expenses, it's demographics, it's all kinds of things that affect us down here. The band left off Monsters of Rock tour was Dokken and Kingdom Come. Yes, Dokken, that's it. Thank you. I saw that tour of the old Giant Stadium. Exactly. I don't really care too much for Kingdom Come, but I remember that. Dokken was the one that I love. Let's see. What else do we have here? NorCal, I've seen Testament and Slayer a bunch of times. There you go. All right. So there you go. A little, you know what? I might as well latch on to some of your music talk, right? Let me give you a little bit of music news, right? We might as well get into a little bit of that since we always do on this show. First of all, on this date, let's start off with 1986. Def Leppard's Rick Allen played his first gig with the band since the automobile accident that cost him his arm on this date back in 86. In 91, Nirvana shot the video Smells Like Teen Spirit. The production cost him less than $50,000, and it featured real Nirvana fans in the audience. In 69 on this date, Woodstock ended after 3 days of peace and music, including sets from The Who, Jimi Hendrix, Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, the band, and many more. Okay, got that in music history. Let's give you a couple of birthdays today. First of all, we start off in 1949 with Sib Hashian, the drummer for Boston, which, by the way, Boston sold more than 75 million records worldwide, 31 million in the United States. And he passed away on 2017, March 22nd, at the age of 67. Let's see. Next up is Kevin Rowland. Kevin Rowland is the singer of Dexy's Midnight Runners. Come on, Eileen. There you go. 1958, Belinda Carlisle was born, singer from the all-female rock band The Go-Go's. In 1962, Gilby Clarke, the singer-songwriter, record producer, and best known for guitarist for 3 years for Guns N' Roses, replacing Izzy Stradlin. And in 1969, Donnie Wahlberg was born from New Kids on the Block. There you go. Those are some of the birthdays. Over the weekend, by the way, Pete Way passed away at the age of 69. And I don't mean a name drop or anything, but in our last go-around, we went to see UFO a couple times, and we were backstage, and we were talking with Andy Parker, the drummer, and we were talking about Pete and how Pete wasn't doing well health wise at that time, and he was. You could tell that when we were talking to Andy, the concern in his voice came out in our conversation, and you can tell. And over the weekend, Pete Way ended up passing away. He, along with Andy and Phil Mogg and Mick Bolton, ended up creating UFO, and obviously he left them in the 80s when he went to go do Fastway with Fast Eddie Clark from Motorhead. So they did Fastway a little bit, and then Pete Way also had another band called Wasted, too, for a short time. Also, he was still playing up until 6 months, a year ago. Now he had all kinds of medical issues, and unfortunately, he succumbed to those medical issues at the age of 69. So our thoughts and prayers go with all of the bands that Pete Way associated himself with. The other thing that I saw that was pretty amazing was the love that Pete was getting when you looked around rock and roll. I'll give you Steve Harris is a huge Pete Way guy, and anybody that goes to a Maiden concert over the years, they open up the show with Dr. Doctor from UFO. And he said a terribly sad week has just been made worse by the news about Pete Way. As all Maiden fans know, Pete was a massive influence on Steve and also a great friend to the whole band. We're all deeply saddened by his passing. Kirk Hammett from Metallica. Pete Way was a huge influence on me. He was uncompromising musically. He was a great performer. He had a unique feel and wrote some of my all-time favorite songs. My heart goes out to all of his friends and family. Pete Way, R.I.P. Geddy Lee. Sad to read today about the passing of Pete Way. I've had so many fond and hilarious memories of touring with Pete and UFO back in the late 70s. A true rock and roll character, always taking the piss, as they would say in his homeland. Geezer Butler. This year keeps getting worse. Pete Way was one of the characters of metal and fellow AVFCO official supporter. He supported Deadland Ritual of the show in London. Very funny man. R.I.P. Pete. Glenn Hughes of Deep Purple. Deeply saddened that my friend Pete Way has passed. A kind and sensitive and beautiful soul. Rest easy, brother. Tom Morello. Rest in peace, Pete Way. Great bassist and great rocker from the great band UFO. Mike McCready from Pearl Jam. Sad to hear one of my favorite bass players, Pete Way from UFO, died today. UFO's live album, Strangers in the Night, is one of the best, and I'm grateful that record helped me grow up in music and as a guitar player. Flight to Mars, my UFO tribute band, has played over 17 years raising money and awareness for Camp Oasis for kids with Crohn's and colitis. Stone and I have had many conversations over the years of our love for UFO. Pete was essential and will be missed. Nikki Sixx, R.I.P. Rockster, one of my main influences. It's the greatest sadness that I post this. Of all the people I've known and toured with, in his day, Pete was the most fun, and he remained a good friend. Lights out in London really says it all. That's some stuff, folks. You get some love there from some people in the business. That's pretty impressive for Pete Way, who lost his way, unfortunately. All right, let's take a break. It's 1 o'clock. We are at the top of the hour, half hour till a little NBA basketball starts. We got a guy that took a hell of a shot at his ex-wife. We gotta play that for you. College football players, some of them just don't get it. We'll share that with you. We got some basketball games to talk about, and I got to give you my picks. I might as well give you some picks here in the playoffs. Let's see how we do in the playoffs, right? Let's have a little fun with it. Got a bunch of things to talk about. Oh, and one more really juicy thing to talk about, too. Back with more.
It's a buyer's market at Toyota of Hollywood. Over 1,500 Toyotas on the ground, and truckloads just keep on coming. Now pay up to 50% less. 2020 Camry, not $29,000, $17,775. 2020 Corolla, not $22,000, $13,775. Buy a new 2020 Toyota with 0 down and 0% financing, or we'll make your payments till 2021 at Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street.
Are you tired of watching the same old travel videos on the internet? Well, then check out MikeNoGoZones.com, a travel documentary that's breaking barriers. I go to the places that the media tells you to fear, where no one else dares to go. Baltimore, Opelika, South Side of Chicago, and more. Go to MikeNoGoZones.com.
America's safest and best-selling compact luxury SUV is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. RDX, $339 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right, we're back. We take you, I don't know till when, but we'll just continue and we'll do our thing here like we do every day here on the program. Plenty of things to talk about, as always. Got through a little music news there for you guys. Did you guys see about the NBA photog? Really interesting photographer for the NBA. Not a smart man, Bill Baptiste. So Bill Baptiste is a photographer for the NBA, and he works out of the Houston area, so he apparently is at the bubble, and he ends up retweeting after Joe Biden picks Kamala Harris. I've been calling her Kamala Harris, so it's Kamala Harris, I guess that's how it's pronounced. I had no idea. So Kamala Harris, he picks her. So there's apparently a let's say a GIF or a GIF, whatever it's called out there that's floating around that says Joe and the hoe. Okay, so he retweets Joe and the hoe, and again, you work in NBA circles, so NBA people might be following you. And listen, you can have your opinions in this country, but I don't know if you want to call, somebody that's running for vice president, if you want to call them a hoe, and you're, working for the NBA. Listen, some of you out there, you guys can do whatever you want. You can call people whatever you want. Nobody's going to care. And nobody's going to fire you, and nobody's, your job's not going to care. But if you work in the NBA, or you work for a radio company, or you work for you're a CEO of some kind of major corporation, I don't think you want to, be using those kind of terms. So Cheryl Swoops saw that and said, so this guy works for the NBA but covers the Rockets, has been around for a while, even worked for the Comets. It's amazing how people will smile in your face, but eventually their true colors will show. At NBA and Houston Rockets, he needs to go. So disrespectful, Bill Baptiste. Shame on you, right? So Bill now, by the way, as you would imagine, has been pretty much suspended for this stuff, right? I don't know if yet he's been fired, but this is what they say so far. It says a freelance photog from Houston's on the hot seat after he shared an offensive meme of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris on Facebook. Shortly after the pair announced that they were running mates, the photographer Bill Baptiste posted a meme that read Joe and the hoe. Former NBA star Cheryl Swoops commented on that. When KPRC2 contacted the NBA for comment on the matter, a spokesman for the organization issued the following statement. The photographer is an independent contractor and his services are no longer being used in Orlando. So they've terminated him. Okay? Now you're also now radioactive for everybody else. So what comes out after this? The apology. I deeply regret posting on my Facebook page a phrase that I saw and copied from others as a sample of some people's reactions to Biden's selection of Senator Harris and his choice for VP. Some people's reaction? Hey, asswipe, that's your reaction. When you retweet, it's because you're agreeing with them. Okay? The phrase I posted does not reflect my personal views at all. If it doesn't reflect your personal views, you wouldn't be retweeting and reposting whatever it's called on Facebook. You would never do that. Do you know why? Because you don't agree with it. Last time I checked, I don't retweet hate. Why? Because I don't agree with it. So if somebody's taking a shot at Hispanics, at blacks, whoever, you name it, women, gays, you name it, you don't see me retweeting, reposting. Why? Because I'm disgusted by that. I should have not been, I should not have been so insensitive to post the statement by others. This guy is a bigger scumbag than anything else because he's also an incredible liar. Okay? I sincerely apologize to all those who have rightfully been offended, and I have taken the post down from my Facebook page. It was a horrible mistake on my part. No, dude, it wasn't a mistake on your part. It was you sharing your feelings. Okay? If you don't like Kamala Harris to run, then just say it, dude. But the fact that you got to call her a hoe, I mean, come on, man. That's just racist, derogatory, disgusting, despicable, disrespectful. I mean, I could just go on and on with the adjectives. And then you're such a coward that you lay the blame on everybody else and you take none, except for your accident of reposting. It's like have you seen that thing with Oprah? That she's got like a bunch of racist people with her, and she's having like these deep conversations with these racist people and trying to, in the end, trying to get to them like, okay, so how are you going to change your racist ways and all that, right? And, that one woman in the promo is like, now I realize all my thinking on how bad it was and this and that, which is funny as hell. Like for decades, you didn't know you were racist? Like you didn't figure it out how terrible it was? What a terrible human being you are for thinking this way? Thinking like this of others? But it's funny to hear Oprah try to so how are you going to change your racist ways? And these people got to try to figure it out. It's hilarious. And like this guy here. This guy's blaming everybody else but himself when he's the stinking racist. All right, 786-322-1105.
If you don't agree with it, you would have said, look at this horrible thing,
right.
blah.
That's how you retweet
something
it.
derogatory
right.
toward
That's
that.
how you repost it.
Yeah. The fact that you didn't put any of that, sorry, brother.
No, he's a phony. At least admit, you know what? I'm racist, and I got to change. And I think you'll get more respect out of that. Okay? Not that any racist deserves any kind of respect, but at least if you admit you're racist and you're willing to change, then, hey, man,
Also, let's point out that he is apologizing because he got fired and is getting backlash.
Right.
If none of that had come down the pike to him, he wouldn't be apologizing.
He won't be working for the NBA and the WNBA anymore. He won't be working for any sports team now. Because I know plenty of photogs in this business. I've been in the business for a little while, so I've run into a couple of them. They don't only shoot just one sport. So newspapers aren't going to hire you anymore. Local teams aren't going to hire you anymore. High schools aren't going to hire you anymore. So I hope you're good with taking, kids' pictures and things like that where you can, I don't know, hide in the background somewhere and maybe people won't recognize you. So I just found it funny that this scumbag would point at everything else except himself in the entire thing. How about that? So we got COVID going on, right? And we got COVID issues going on. Now, in Toronto, they just opened up a strip club again. They allowed the strip clubs to open up. Only one problem now. In Toronto, a stripper may have infected with COVID-19 may have exposed more than 500 people to the illness. Health officials warn the Brass Rail Tavern employees tested positive for coronavirus just days after the club was allowed to reopen. With social distancing measures like the mask requirement and social distancing, how can you have social distancing at a strip club? What's the fun in that? I'm just wondering, right? Because you guys that go to strip clubs, right, you're going to go to get a friction dance, right? You can't do that socially distanced. Anyway, you know how long it's going to take for them to chase down 550 guys, half of which probably gave fake ID and information. Andrew Morris, a professor of the infectious diseases at the University of Toronto, said. So this one stripper exposed 550 people. She was active, by the way. That's a lot of people to be exposing, man. And in the middle of a pandemic, well, although in Canada it's not as bad as us, but it goes to show you right there. Remember how we had that story a couple weeks ago about the one woman that infected 70 people? All right, not that she infected 500 of them, but she probably infected a few, and then they infected others. That's how bad this thing is. One person affecting 500, and we don't know how many of those 500 ended up catching it. Let's just say it's 20 or 30. And those 20 or 30 are going to infect an average of 2.2 people. You do the math. And if it's not, and that person is right, how do you contact trace people you can't find now? Because it's a strip club and people are going to lie about being there. Because there's a bunch of dudes that are going to a strip club that aren't supposed to be there because their wives don't want them there. Or girlfriends. 500 people, dude. Wow. I hope they, I don't know. I don't even know what to hope, but I hope nobody got it, but it's hard to even hope that. All right, 786-322-1105. If you want to get in on the program, that's 786-322-1105. If you want to get in on the text line, let's see what we got here. Last night, an idiot in one of my Penn State fan replied to my comment by giving me the CDC definition of crushing the curve. And now that we are below the level of pandemic, so I politely share with him over 54,000 new cases and over 1,000 new deaths yesterday alone. They were the stats from the CDC website. I never heard back from them. Of course not. That's usually how it is. That's the problem is they listen to the most misinformed people out there, our president. And if you listen to that guy, you're not going to get the real information. You know? Imagine if it were Tootsie's and we were still working over there. Yep. Oh, yeah. That would be fantastic if it was Tootsie's. And under Greg Reed, yeah, those were the days. Actually, they were my sponsor back in those days. I had a good relationship with the people over at Tootsie's. But they changed all kinds of people there now. Pat in Nashville says 550. Damn. Did the club have a drive-through lap dance program? Pretty much, right? 550 people? That's a lot of people, man. She was active. She made a lot of money. I bet that photog is glad he still has his day job taking pics of kids at playgrounds. Probably. Brass Rail Tavern sounds like the chicks weigh about an average of $190 up there. That's just wrong. That's just wrong, bro.
Bring your harpoon with you to the club.
Who wants to place bets on if Tremolio was one of the 550? Oh, Tremolio guaranteed was one of the 550. There's no doubt about that. All right, let's give you our NBA playoff picks for today, right? Let's do that. Let's guarantee you losing some money here today. All right, so first of all, we got the 1:30 game. The Nuggets are favored by 4.5 against the Jazz. I am going to go with the dog here. I'm going to go with the Jazz. I'm going to take the 4.5. The over and under is 215.5. Can't touch it. The money line is Jazz plus 180. Nuggets minus 210 here in this one. Not touching it, minus 210. Do like the Nuggets to win a close game, but I think the Jazz actually will keep this thing interesting. This one is kind of interesting because the Nets, it doesn't matter who plays for the Nets. They play hard. They play tough. They're not an easy out. They're coached well. It really is amazing to me how the Nets, they have developed a culture. You know how the Heat have had their culture in place for a long time, and certain teams have developed a culture. You know who they are. The Nets are already there. No doubt about it. I mean, the only one that can screw it up is Kyrie Irving, who's a clown. But it is a hell of a talent, but he's a clown. And so the Raptors are favored by 10. This is a game that normally I would lay the 10 points and go Raptors here. But the problem is the Nets play so hard, I can see them keeping it interesting and hanging in there and staying within 10. Now, I'm going to lay off this game. I'm not going to touch this game. I can't. But I am going to go with the total here. The total is 221.5. All right? What I will say about the Nets is I don't think they play defense very well. So, I'm going to go with the over here on 221.5. Go over 221.5. I think it'll be barely over, but I think the Raptors are going to score their share of, 115, 120. And I think the Nets could end up in that area of inside those 10 points, but it'll be enough to go over the 221.5. So I'm going to take a really high over and under here. But I think this is going to be a high-scoring affair. And I just, man, the spread is the one that I have a hard time, and it should be like, okay, lay the 10. Raptors should win comfortably. Let's see what happens because I have been impressed with their effort. The 76ers and the Celtics. The finger injury wasn't serious for Embiid. He was able to play and came back. Celtics are playing better basketball right now. They've got a better leader in Kemba because, of course, the aforementioned Kyrie Irving is gone. Celtics are favored by 5.5. The over and under is 218.5. 76ers are plus 215. Celtics are minus 255 here. I'm going to lay the 5.5 here. I like the Celtics defense, and I think offensively they're coming together overall. I think this will be a game where the Celtics pull away towards the end. So I am going to lay the 5.5, and I'm going with the Sixers here. I'm going with the Celtics here against the Sixers. 9 o'clock, the final game tonight. I guess we'll all be going to sleep, or those of us that love basketball will be going to sleep around 11:30, midnight, some along those lines. Clippers are favored by 6 over the Mavs. The Mavs are playing lights out on offense right now. The over and under is 229.5. They're going to score a lot of points in this game. Clippers are minus 265, and the Mavs are plus 225. I like Mavs plus 6 here. Okay? I'm going to go with the dog. I'm going to take the 6 points. Mavs have been playing really well on the offensive end. They're scoring a lot of points. I think they'll keep it close. I expect the Clippers to win, but I expect the Mavs to keep this thing close. There is no home court advantage. Everybody's playing on a neutral court here. So that's the good thing, that if this was a home game for the Clippers and they were favored by 6, I probably would not touch the game. I probably wouldn't even touch it at all because of the 229.5. It's such a high number overall. But I'm going to take the Mavs here. Neutral site, plus 6. I'm riding there with those guys. So, once again, Jazz, plus 4.5. I'm going to go over 221.5 Nets Raptors. I'm going to go Celtics minus 5.5 against the Sixers. And I'm going to go Mavs plus 6 against the Clippers. Those are my picks in the NBA slate.
Jazz Denver should be fun. Heard that Denver swept. They've won 4, but by a total of 11 points.
Yeah.
So they've all been close.
That's why I'm taking the Jazz.
Should be a fun game.
So I'm taking the Jazz. I like the Jazz in this one, man. Definitely like the Jazz in this one. Tremolio is a connoisseur of the ladies of the night. Okay. All right. Just wear that helmet when you go to war. That's all I got to say. Who needs facts when people believe whatever Carrot Man says? Man of 1,005 holes says Jazz 112-106. Raptors 117-101. Celtics 109-98. And Clippers 115-106. That would make me 2-2 against the spread. That's not good. I mean, it's not terrible, but we need a 3-1 man of 1,005 holes. Oh, and Bill, speaking of well-fed women, a bar here in Pensacola had a huge old-school scale next to the bar. The scale had a sign that read, "Women over 250 pounds, drink free. Only the panhandle." That is funny. That is funny. How many women stepped on that scale and say, "I'm more than 250. I'm drinking for free"?
Hey, those girls make the rockin' world go round, bro.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Nets are the worst name in sports. Introducing the NFL expansion Orlando goalposts. Ah, yes. King, I will email you after I smoke my cigar. There we go. We got to love the relationships that our listeners are building with each other here on the show. It's a beautiful thing, man. Wow. You guys are awesome. Let's see, what else do we have here on the agenda to talk about? Hey, did you guys see Halle Berry's photo over the weekend?
Oh, the one of her on a skateboard?
Yes. She tweeted out on a skateboard. She tweeted out a picture of her, and it says, 54, life getting better, or something like life gets better. And I got to tell you, man, that was a tweet of all tweets, because she looked freaking phenomenal. I mean, I don't know how you could look any better at the age of 54 than that woman. I don't know if any of you saw it, but if you have time, go to let me see if I think I can pull up Halle Berry's thing right here and show you the picture, because it's not like she tweets out, all kinds of stuff. Although she just tweeted this out. Yeah. 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 That's 54. So she tweets out a picture of her on a skateboard. There you go. That's her on a skateboard. 54. That's just that's just not right. That is just not right. How 54? 54. You're supposed to be old and wrinkly and drinking prune juice and stuff like that, and 54, and she looks like she's 32 still. You know what I'm saying? Pat in Nashville goes, holy crap, she sold her soul to the devil, right? Halle Berry, está entera and a half. Damn, 54, I'm a Cougar fan right now. How can you not be a Cougar fan right now? Her legs, Big O, says it all. Yeah? Yeah. No, I'm with you. I want to see her do a front flip Indy nose bone, 720. That's just wrong on every level. She's definitely holding it together. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Leave me on that island with her. Let's see. Dios mío, incredible genes. Yes, she does have. She has incredible genes. Yep. So, Rosendo says, sad she can't have a stable guy. She's beautiful. She is with somebody now. But listen, think about it this way. Wouldn't you like to try? Huh? Wouldn't you like to try to find happiness with Halle Berry? Just try. That's all. Norkai can't read that one. That's it. You guys are now getting too sexual with your comments. But there you go. Just in case. If you don't follow Halle Berry, you should follow Halle Berry. Okay? Twitter and Instagram. It's a good follow. Because she just posts some stuff that every once in a while you're just like, wow. You, Mrs. Berry, are pretty special in many ways. All right, let's let me get to a guy that got himself in trouble. And listen, there's a lot of people out there that they don't have successful marriages, right? And those of you out there that have struggled with marriage and staying married, it's not easy. I know it isn't easy. No, most of us that have been married, we know that it's a challenge, and it's something you got to work on a consistent basis, with your loved one. And so Mark Grace, the former Cubs great, is an announcer now, and he apparently did not have a great relationship with his ex-wife, apparently, because he was sharing a story about her on air. All right? So let's play a little Mark Grace so people can hear Mark Grace talking about something that happened to him and his wife back in the day when he was playing.
It's early afternoon, and my ex-wife, I'm going to go Archie Bunker on you guys in a little bit. I called her the dingbat. So that said, I said, honey, why don't you drop me off at County Stadium, and you go on to the hotel. There'll be a key waiting for you. Go to the Pfister Hotel where we were staying, and okay, so drops down, and she decides a few hours later she's going to come to the game a little bit early, maybe an hour early, something like that. And as we finish with our batting practice, and, we've got 45 minutes of downtime, maybe an hour, and I'm getting ready for the game. I'm starting to get my game face on and all that song and dance. Here's out number one. Well, that's a huge break right there. And the business clubhouse guy comes running to my locker, and he's got this look of panic on his face. He's like, Gracie. He goes, I just got a call. Did you park your car in Bud Selig's parking space? The commissioner of baseball, the owner of the Milwaukee Brewers. I'm like, no, I got dropped off. And then I thought, oh my God, the dingbat parked in Bud's spot. So sure enough, I go running in full uniform. I go running out to the park. Needless to say, the parking space wasn't very far away. So because it was Bud's, So I ran out there. The tow truck is there. They're starting to put it up, and I'm like, Mr. Commissioner, and Rob was none too pleased. However, I've always gotten along with the former commissioner, and I actually really like Bud.
So that's Mark Grace. So obviously calling his ex-wife a dingbat on national television did not go off well. So Mark Grace now could be facing some discipline from Marquee Sports for the way he described his ex-wife. And so during the Cubs game on Saturday, Grace shared a humorous story about the time his ex-wife parked in former MLB Commissioner Bug Selig's parking space, right? And in the story, he refers to as a dingbat, as you just heard. Grace apologized after the game for his choice of words. The Chicago Tribune's Paul Sullivan said Grace would be off the broadcast for the next 5 games. Sullivan also says there is a movement of support to get former Cub Ryan Sandberg involved as a replacement for Grace. Grace is not new to serving as a broadcaster on baseball games, as he worked as a color studio analyst for the Diamondbacks at various points since 2004. He's had a few years away from the job after being placed on leave following a second DUI arrest in 2012. So obviously he has his problems with alcohol too, because if you got 2 DUIs, that means you have many DUIs that you weren't busted for probably. But he now, I don't know if they'll end up suspending him or replacing him with Ryan Sandberg, obviously. But, I mean, dude, you got to know better. See, the problem is we live in a different era. In the 70s or in the 80s, you probably would have gotten away with that conversation. People would have laughed it off, and they would have moved on. But in today's world, there is a different level of expectations for people, and they expect you to show some respect in these kind of settings. And so they don't want you bashing your wife or your family or the team or teammates or whatever on national television in their broadcast, because then they're the ones that have to deal with the heat after that. And so, again, if you grew up with Archie Bunker and George Jefferson and, Red Fox and all that, we grew up in a different era, man. We just grew up in an era where Don Rickles can insult whoever he wanted to, and we laughed about it. And we laughed about all of our shortcomings. We laughed at all of our defects as humans, and it was made fun of, and it was all right to make fun of it. In today's world, it's all taken seriously, and there can't be any levity about any of this stuff. And Mark Grace is learning that the hard way, and that's the way it is in today's world. It's a different ballgame, ladies and gentlemen, and you just can't go, trashing your wife on national TV and expect, a corporation to stand by and say, okay, yeah, no problem. You can go ahead and degrade women all you want. We're going to be fine with that. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Maybe once Ghislaine Maxwell is found guilty, you probably will be allowed to take some shots at her publicly. But that's different. We're talking about somebody that contributed into molesting children. So there's not going to be any sympathy for her. But for the average woman, you're just not going to be able to trash women like that. You're not going to be able to trash people like that. You will be held accountable. And that's what Gracie is finding out now, that he's going to be held accountable for doing incredibly stupid things like ripping his wife and calling her a dingbat. The other thing is, the story is bad for you, Mark, in one sense. Dude, it makes you look old as hell. Nobody uses dingbat. I mean, seriously, dingbat? What are we watching, Bewitched? What are we going back to the Addams Family? Father and Sons? Or what is it? What Father Knows Best? That is? whatever, all those, old corny shows that we used to watch when we were kids? Is that what we're going back to? Dingbat? That was the other thing, bro. The dingbat thing just made you also look like really old in the process. Dingbat. Love that. All right, 786-322-1105. That's 786-322-1105 if you want to get in on the text line. You can also reach out to us on Twitter. That's at Big O Show. Let's take a break. It is the bottom of the hour. We got some NFL news we'll talk about on the other side. The other thing, people are celebrating something that doesn't need to be celebrated. I'll tell you what that is next.
It's a buyer's market at Toyota of Hollywood. Over 1,500 Toyotas on the ground, and truckloads just keep on coming. Now pay up to 50% less. 2020 Camry, not $29,000, $17,775. 2020 Corolla, not $22,000, $13,775. Buy a new 2020 Toyota with 0 down and 0% financing, or we'll make your payments till 2021. At Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street.
Are you tired of watching the same old travel videos on the internet? Well, then check out MikeNoGoZones.com, a travel documentary that's breaking barriers. I go to the places that the media tells you to fear, where no one else dares to go. Baltimore, Opelika, South Side of Chicago, and more. Go to MikeNoGoZones.com.
America's safest and best-selling compact luxury SUV is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. RDX, $339 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
This is the Big O Show. 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 This is the Big O Show.
Let's do it. We are back. We're back. For you Cowboys fans out there, man, the news doesn't look good. Gerald McCoy, they're afraid that he tore his ACL. And listen, injuries are going to happen. They may happen more this training camp because guys have not had a real offseason. And all of a sudden now you're going to start hitting from day one here. This is going to be a tough one, and you feel bad for Gerald McCoy and the Cowboys. They've got Dontari Poe, they've got the Tristan Hill kid, they've got the third rounder Neville Gallimore. But again, you're going to a draft pick to put in that position is a lot to ask of, and you needed Gerald McCoy badly with Dontari Poe there. That would have been a nice 1-2 punch for you. But fears are that he tore his ACL. They're going to have an MRI to confirm that he tore his ACL, but right now that's what they're fearing most. And they're usually pretty good about that because they can feel it in the knee. They already know when something they think is torn. You know what I'm saying? So it will, hopefully they're wrong, and hopefully their early prognosis is a little off for their sake, because you don't want. Man, I'm not that guy. I know I'm not a Cowboys fan. I don't give a rat's ass about the Cowboys or any other team that isn't the Dolphins. But I don't want to see people blow their knees out and stuff like that. I just don't. That's not. I'm not that guy. I just can't do that, man. I can't wish it upon other human beings to just get injured like that. That's not who I'm all about anyway. So I feel bad for Gerald McCoy. Feel bad for the Cowboys. And it's deflating for Cowboy fans, just like if any of our guys in Aqua and Orange, if you're a Dolphin fan like I am, and we get an injury, I'm not even going to mention any names because I don't even want to get into, whatever. But the same thing, if something like that happens to Miami, it's a deflating thing. That you lose a key player right from the get-go. Now that puts you in a difficult situation as a team, and I got to tell you, that sucks ass. As a fan, are you kidding me? Oh, God, it's terrible. All right, the other thing that I wanted to talk about, and I find there's way too much talk about this. Dame Lillard and the Portland Trail Blazers. Now, everybody knows that Damian Lillard, or Dane, or whatever you want to call him, and it's Dame time and all this and that, and they're celebrating that he's hitting these 50 and 60-point games, and it's great, and Lillard's fun as hell to watch and all of that, and why are we putting so much attention to a team that just grabbed the 8th spot in the playoffs? Not only did they grab the 8th spot in the playoffs, it required them a play-in game and also to grab that 8th spot. Why? I'm just wondering, what's the accomplishment? What, that he scored 50 and 60 points consecutively in a bunch of games? Big deal. So what? Doesn't matter to me. I mean, show me something in the playoffs. Show me something. Go deep in the playoffs. Then I can be impressed. But all this Portland talk and Lillard and all that, and you're the scrub end of the playoffs. I'm sorry. Why? It's an accomplishment if Memphis gets in because they're so young and led by a rookie. That's a great story. That's an accomplishment. Portland getting in as the 8th seed is not an accomplishment. Get to the Western Conference Finals. That's an accomplishment. Lose in the NBA Finals. That's an accomplishment. But all this talk for Portland, for what? Dame Lillard had to kill himself, score 50 and 60 points to grab the 8th seed? I just find it, I don't know, is it just me, or I'm sorry, am I wrong here that I'm picking on all the hype that's been talked about the last couple of days in the battle for the 8th spot in the playoffs? Yes, Dame Lillard's a hell of a player. Okay, I get it all, but I don't see this as a big accomplishment, getting to the 8th seed. Is it just me or what? You impressed that the Portland Trail Blazers got the 8th seed?
I think it's compounded with the fact that Phoenix won 8-0 in the bubble, and they held them out.
But they're young.
But it's the way Lillard is playing. That's it.
Yeah,
that's what this is.
So it takes
nothing else,
and it takes that for them to become the 8th seed.
Yes,
I'm not impressed.
Plus,
not impressed.
Plus, the hits that the Lakers have taken in the bubble haven't looked that great, haven't played that well. That there's the potential of.
Okay, well now then I'll be impressed.
That's what it's about.
Okay, you beat the Lakers.
They got to build up hype for people to want to watch the game.
But
that's all they're doing.
You outlasted Memphis and Phoenix, two really young teams, for the 8th spot.
I feel bad for Phoenix, bro.
Like
they go 8-0, man. Like, what more were they supposed to do?
Oh, they had the rest of the season. They should have done better. But
right.
But again, it's just the Blazers are killing themselves to have the 8th seed.
I think that's just to create some synergy for that game.
So
because normally an 8-1, you'd go, give me a break.
Yeah. They weren't racked. Somebody says, "Oh, the Blazers were racked up with injuries pre-COVID." It was Nurkic. That's it. They had CJ and they had Lillard. They weren't hurting that badly injury-wise, and they ended up trading for a center in Whiteside to kind of fill the void. Again, the 8th seed. I'm not impressed. Do something in the playoffs to impress me. But all this hype for that, I'm sorry. I don't see it. I don't see it at all. You know?
You know, it's another contributing factor of those seeds at the bottom were the ones that were up for grabs. People trying to play in.
Right.
We all knew pretty much the seeding stayed the same from when we stepped in the bubble.
Yes.
Other than the 4 and the 5 in both.
Right.
And the 8 and the 9.
Right.
To play in. That's it. Everything else was set.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I completely understand that. I just when I look at all the hype for Portland to just grab the 8th seed, and if you have Lillard and McCullough, and I know McCullough was playing with a fractured back, a bone in his back, and even having said that, he was the most important player in that last game because he's the guy that closed it out in the fourth quarter because he was, toasting John Morant at the back end of that game. Again, you got a superstar in Dane Lillard and the 8th seed. I'm just trying to really find the accomplishment in that. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is. But I'd love to figure out what the heck is the accomplishment of being the 8th seed. I just don't see it. But whatever. Maybe they will now impress by doing something against the Lakers. Then I can tell you, okay, now I'm good. Now I can get on board with that. And as for look, let me look at the season this year. Okay. Where are we at here? Boom. CJ McCollum and Lillard, by the way, played 66 and 70 games. So that's not Carmelo Anthony was added and he played 58 games. Hassan Whiteside played 67 games. Gary Trent played 61. Simmons played 70. Nurkic is the one that he was out, and he's only played the 8 games now since they're back. But it's not like they're missing. Trevor Ariza would be the one guy that would be a guy that you could say, okay, there's a guy that, you could say, okay, that's a guy you might miss a little bit. But it wasn't like they were ravaged with injuries, like you said. You know what I mean? They weren't really racked up with injuries. They were pretty healthy, actually, outside of the center. Let's see. Blazers have a big advantage in the backcourt over the Lakers. Well, I can tell you this, Troy. Do something now against the Lakers, and I'll be impressed. Getting the 8th seed is not impressive. Now, if Portland would have been the 4th or 5th seed with Lillard and McCullough kicking in some ass, okay, then I'm good. Then I'm impressed. But I'm not impressed with them getting the 8th seed. I don't know how anybody could be impressed with that. All right, 786-322-1105 if you want to get in on the text line. I'm trying to see if there's anything new on the Dolphins. I don't see anything that is earth-shattering right now or any kind of news at all. Nope. I don't see anything. Okay. So at least the good thing about it is we don't have a Gerald McCoy story. That's a really good one right now for the first day for the Miami Dolphins. Nurkic, Collins, and Hood. Well, Hood's always injured. Hood doesn't count. Hood's always injured. That guy's never healthy. You can never count on Rodney Hood. Here, let me show you. I don't know if you follow. I don't know if you follow it, but here's games for Rodney Hood. Are you ready? 21, 27, 45, 72, 21, 39, 60, and then his early years, 55, 79, 59, 79, and 50. He played a lot of those 82 games there. Are you paying attention? Rodney Hood, his last 6 years, 39, 21, 72, 45, 27, and 21 games. Last 7 years. I mean, guys, you can pull names out of your ass, but if you don't follow sports, you're not going to hang very long in these conversations. So when you tell me, oh, Hood was out, well, dude, do you follow basketball? Because Hood is always out. In fact, Hood, I think, just got injured right now grabbing a cup of coffee. Right now, I think he twisted an ankle. Yesterday, by the way, he caught his nose in the door. Rodney Hood. Hey, Rodney Hood's injured. Do you follow basketball? Remember, I'm a fantasy basketball guy. Okay? So not only do I follow basketball, I follow all the teams, all the players, even Rodney Hood. But who was it that you who put up there about Hood? He probably does. Troy, you probably don't follow it as hardcore as I do. So when you put Rodney Hood was out, I'm like laughing, like, that's not a guy you really ever count on. No injuries for the Dolphins today is good news, Big O. Yes, it is. Okay. He goes, I hear you, but they were all in. But Rodney Hood doesn't count, is what I'm trying to tell you. And the Nurkic one doesn't count either. Okay? Because you got your replacement in Whiteside. Not that he's as good as Nurkic. God knows he's not. But he's serviceable. He'll get you some rebounds and some blocks. And then the other guys are the ones that have to carry you. Now Rodney Hood. Rodney Hood doesn't carry you. You know what I'm saying? So it's up to Lillard and up to McCullough to get it done. Rodney Hood is not a guy that I count on at all. Okay? I can't. Can't count on that guy. 786-322-1105. Now, Zach Collins, isn't that the youngster? Yeah, Zach Collins is the kid but he's also, it's not a guy that I am going to, let me see, I'll pull it up here. This is a guy that was averaging 7 points and 6 rebounds. Nice, serviceable player off the bench. But again, Hood, Collins, it's not like, oh my God, Nurkic, I'll give you that he helps, there's no doubt, but no excuses to A-seed. If you're really that good, you'll do a lot better than the A-seed. Okay, even in the West. I know the West is not easy. Myron checks in with a little super chat. Lakers win on the 6th game, by the way. I will send my info on your email. Oh, I love it that everyone is picking the Blazers. Why would you pick the Blazers? I wouldn't pick the Blazers. They're picking the Blazers? Why would you pick the Blazers? I mean, if the Blazers beat the Lakers, that will be impressive. I would never pick the Blazers over the Lakers. The Lakers, LeBron is going to come out focused, man. He's going to be hungry. Big time. So I like Blazers all the way. Oh, if you had a choice between a night of pleasure with Holly or a Dolphins championship, what would you pick? I got to go with Dolphins. Because the night of pleasure with Holly then gets me also divorced with my wife, so that's not good either. So, that's not a fair thing. If I was single, I might choose Holly over the Dolphins. Oh, Lordy. Hopefully no one gets hurt today at Dolphin. Well, the Dolphin practice already happened, and apparently nobody got hurt, so you're good. Isais. James says, what do you think about Orange County, California making August 24th Kobe Bryant Day? Should NBA observe it too? No, because we don't have a Wilt Chamberlain Day. We don't have a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Day. We don't have a Michael Jordan Day. We don't have a Magic Johnson Day. We don't have a Bird Day. So if the players that are better than Kobe they don't have their own day, Kobe shouldn't get his own day. Now, with the Lakers, of course, I got no problem with Orange County making it Kobe Bryant Day. I got no problem with the Lakers making it Kobe Bryant Day. I got no problem with Southern California making it Kobe Bryant Day. God bless him, bro. That's their guy, man. Celebrate it. We're Wade County, whatever. We can celebrate our own with no problem. The country doesn't need to celebrate Wade. Country doesn't need to celebrate Kobe. We don't do it. If we don't have a Michael Jordan Day, okay, there doesn't need to be a day for anybody else. You know what I'm saying? It's not like a Jackie Robinson thing. That it's not that Jackie Robinson was an incredible player, which we all know he was, but it's also what he stood for and the moment in time that he was facing and all of that. That's what makes his greatness historical. You know what I'm saying? So we can have a Jackie Robinson Day because we all need to celebrate that moment. But no, not Kobe doesn't deserve a day nationally, just like no basketball player really deserves it, unless it's something of the Jackie Robinson, level. That, my friends, is now we're talking something serious. 786-322-1105 if you want to get in on the program. That's 786-322-1105 if you want to get in on the program. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, remember, we talked about how players, just like your kids, are naive, right? If you work with young people, if you associate with young people, if you raise young people, they have a lot to learn. And they tell you things that come from a very naive point of view. And remember when about a week ago, when the players were talking about we want to play, hashtag we want to play and all that crap, and some of the idiots, the talking heads on TV, well, now that players are reacting, the what are the administrators going to do and this and that, and Big Ten and Pac-12 said, we're canceling the season. And it had nothing to do with the kids or anything like that, right? So Justin Fields has now come out and, pretty much the stuff that they've been tweeting about, well, he now put some words to it and in a way wanted to challenge Ohio State and the Big Ten and the NCAA to change their mind on behalf of him and all of the other football players trying to play in 2020.
My biggest message to them would just to get them to realize how bad our players want to play, and just the guys that, the guys that have come back for their fifth year, come back off of injury. I think that we owe it to those guys the most. I've just seen behind the scenes and all the work that they put in and how much they really care about it. And I also believe all the coaches and all the parents, players want us to play, and they also safe with the guidelines Ohio State has set. So I just think that's the biggest message I'd like to get out to them.
Right. So Justin Fields, of course, is a kid that is playing a game, and he needs this season to kind of solidify his draft status so he can go into the draft. And these are all things that are real, right? What's also real is COVID. What's also real is the risk. What's also real is long-term effects could be possible. An enlarged heart, setbacks that could end up resulting in lawsuits. And so you're now going to force the NCAA and Ohio State to turn to all of its players and say, sign this release. Parents, sign this release. You cannot sue us if your kid gets COVID, if your kid suffers from COVID, and if your kid ends up in developing an enlarged heart or lungs or a breathing issue and cannot actually ever be a pro player again. You cannot sue us. So, two things. One, it would be cold and callous for them to do something like that. Two, it would look incredibly irresponsible because that you're basically telling everybody, we know it's risky. We don't care because we're going to clear ourselves of any wrongdoing because we're going to get them to sign a release, and they carry all of the burden. And then if some kid ends up with an enlarged heart and can't play, you will not get fined and you won't get sued. But guess what you're going to get? You're going to get a ton of bad PR. It's interesting how some will twist it that the SEC, the ACC, and the Big 12 now will use this as a recruiting tool against the Big 10 and against the Pac-12, saying, we love football, they don't. We respect you guys, they don't. We will cherish and honor you guys and protect you guys, they don't even care to try, right? When in the end, the Pac-12 and the Big 10 are actually saying, we really care about you guys. We really want to protect you guys. We want to protect our coaches, our administrators, our trainers, everybody that's involved, because it's not just the young people, it's the other people around the young people that are really at risk. The only ones being responsible here are the Pac-12 and the Big 10. But the Neanderthal way of thinking in football, because it happens in high school, happens in college, and happens in the NFL, is the Neanderthal parents that want their kid to play, the Neanderthal kids that don't care about anything else, the fans that are a bunch of Neanderthals also. They don't care what happens to the kids. They don't care if they end up with an enlarged heart. They don't care if they blow out their knee. They'll root for the next person in line. They're just pawns being used for their entertainment. That's it. So this is what you're going to create. And at one point or another, you got to come to the reality, Justin Fields. You're not the adult in the room. You don't have the burden and the responsibility, but Ohio State does. And so does Michigan, and so does Wisconsin, and everybody else that's in the Big 10 or Pac-12. They have to worry about lawsuits. They have to worry about safety. They have to worry about everybody else around the players. Look at what's going on in the schools already. There are thousands of kids already in coronavirus quarantine in the first week of school. Why? Because they wanted to be irresponsible. The responsible school districts are the ones that are saying we're going all virtual. Why? Because there's no way to control this virus. There's no way. It's impossible to control. So, Justin Fields, it's nice you want to play, my man. But are you going to pay for all the lawsuits? No, I doubt it. And you cannot go, well, we know it's dangerous, but here, sign this affidavit, sign this release so we're clear. And whatever happens to you, you're on your own. Can you imagine that? And some parents might say, oh, yeah, I'll sign the release. And then when something happens to their kid, they're going to fight everything possible to go against that release, and they're going to blame the school for creating it all. When you wanted it, it's your fault. It's you and your child's fault. You didn't care about what could be the long-term effects. You don't care if you kill somebody else. That's the other thing about all of this. Oh, my kid will be fine. Yeah, but what about if your kid gives it to an assistant coach and kills him? What about if your kid gives it to a trainer and kills him? What about if your kid gives it to the trainer who then gives it to his wife and his wife is dead instead? How are you going to feel then? When they contract trace to you, you're ground zero for these two people dying, for this person hospitalized, for that person being in an induced coma. It's all on you. Who wants to carry that burden? Problem is, Justin Fields and the rest of these kids don't think of any of this. And that's why, that's why we're around for these kids, to give them actually some guidance. And kudos to the Pac-12 and the Big Ten. They're the ones that actually have guidance. And they're actually doing the responsible thing in the process. GP Trap Hewitt says, the back to school is totally stupid. I would never let my kids back to school yet. It's not safe. Of course not. Of course not. My kid gets to do everything on, she's in the FIU medical program. She's doing all of that, remotely. So it's cool. I'm glad. Hale Martin High is going forward with high school football at regular schedule. Well, they're a bunch of idiots, and they'll all pay the price. Listen, all these schools won't even get to have a football season because eventually COVID will spread all over their schools, and they will have to shut down the schools. It's going to happen, guaranteed. Let's see. My favorite basketball player, Kobe, a.k.a. Black Mamba. Let's see. I have your YouTube bank, Myron. Oh, Julius 305. There you go. Boy, Julia, Myron's getting all kinds of presents. Well, so Myron, when are we going to hook up, bro? And if you send me the address, I'll go to your sanctuary personally and go check it out. So send me the address for your sanctuary, and we will go out there. All right, we are going to wrap it up here on the show. I think we, we did close to 3.5 hours today. Something along those lines. We got to thank our super chatters. Kenneth Cleveland, Myron, super chatting today. Thank you all out there, as always, for super chatting. Denver, by the way, is kicking Utah's ass right now. Not good for me, 31-22. I mean, it's not terrible, but I am losing by a couple of points. What the hell? Super chat!
That took guts. We need guts.
I told you I can totally
super chat.
So you think you got what it takes?
You have no skills.
This is permanent.
Good job.
I'm promoting you.
You got a lot of problems, don't you?
Take pride in that.
Love it, love it, love it. Although they're asking better U2 album, War or Boy? War. War and Unforgettable Fire are my two favorite albums. Victor Vitoni says, your parents already have to sign releases and pay for insurance just to play high school sports. Yes, but a COVID release is a whole different ballgame. That would put you at major risk now. The freakish stuff about, a football injury like a head concussion or a broken leg, that's, that already part of the game. COVID is not supposed to be part of the game. It's not supposed to be part of life. You know what I'm saying? So this is a world that they sue you for everything. I wouldn't put it past people to sue schools if their kid just gets COVID. And that's where all these schools have to be very careful.
Oh, they will. Oh, they will.
Oh, yeah, it's going to happen, right? It's only normal. Well, wait a minute. You guys should have never opened school. There's a pandemic going on. Now my kid has COVID and has an enlarged heart and yada, 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 all that. Now, these schools will have an out because if you make everything in-class learning, you screw yourself. But if you give parents the option of, hey, you can be remotely learning, then that's how you cover your ass. If your kid gets COVID, you're like, hey, you knew the risk. You could have had virtual learning. We can't guarantee anybody because there's a private school out there. I forgot the name of it. They're making parents sign releases for COVID. A private school, cover your ass, dude. Hells to the yeah. That's the problem. I love you all out there. Thank you to the super chatters, everybody on the YouTube chat board as always. However you download the show, thank you as always. Great weekend for us on the downloads. Appreciate it. We will see you tomorrow. Same time, same place,
Regular,
same bad channel.
Yep. No extra modification needed. The Heat don't play till 4.
Right. So we'll be on tomorrow from 11 to 2 like normal. Maybe 2 something like today. And maybe 10 something like today also we got on. So you never know. Tomorrow we might get on just a little earlier too.
Enjoy the basketball.
Yes. All right, you guys out there, be good, be safe, please. Wear your masks. Much love out there.
Wash your hands.
Yes.
Till tomorrow. See y'all later.